Ever been watching the ALGS or your favorite Apex Legends streamer and heard them saying things like,
"Hacked one, gatekeep this team, that's gonna be Pierre the Rat,"
and wonder, what are they talking about? We wanted to take a moment to shine a light on some of the most common terms you might be hearing and wondering about as the newest season of the ALGS kicks off.
This is gonna be fun, brother.
Crack, no. He's cracked.
Cracked, or flesh, is something you'll often hear when a player informs his teammates that he has eliminated the armor of an enemy and they are now vulnerable.
Rate this crack, man.
In the game, this is accompanied by a satisfying sound.
Crack här inne.
I kidnap two.
He's again and he gets another kidnap!
Kidnap is a sneaky tactical maneuver in which a Wraith player will use their ultimate to make a dimensional tunnel to an enemy team's location with the goal of having an enemy accidentally get sucked into the tunnel and be whisked away to their deaths at the other end.
This third party central.
We're gonna have to third them.
Here comes the third party!
Third partying in Apex Legends is a situation where two squads are fighting each other and another squad decides to join in, usually waiting until one team has been eliminated and the surviving team is licking its wounds. As you can imagine, this is about as welcome as someone cutting in on your dance or showing up when your party is over. But for the team doing the third partying, it could be a blast.
Let's go, man!
This has been some perfect gatekeeping.
Great job gatekeeping this squad. TSM are one of those teams gatekeeping.
Gatekeeping is a tactic in Apex Legends where teams take strategic advantage of choke points on the maps, choosing passages where teams will most likely need to go to escape the encroaching ring or other pursuers. Teams will often set traps or barriers as they lay in wait, spider-like, for their prey.
So this is actually a great rat spot. High tier ratting right now.
Devious rat strat.
Rat, also known as rat strats, are when a player is the last living member of the team and chooses to strategically hide with the intention to gain them placement points. The goal is simply to outlive and outlast opponents, whether it is by shadowing a more aggressive team, finding a corner, or a bush to hide in, or just finding a place that's difficult to assault. Ratting can even sometimes result in a surprising solo win. While this barely scratches the surface of all the insider language players and casters use in-game, we hope the short list of player slang will help you follow all of the upcoming action with your favorite streamers and in the Apex Legends Global Series. And remember,
the game is not merciful to those who lack imagination.
Oh my goodness! Let's go!
Brutal and beautiful.
Well, the hype is real. Welcome, one and all, to the Apex Legends Global Series Pro League. Now, this might be day 5, but it's also round 3. So many numbers, so little time, and we are going to be celebrating the group stage here with B versus D. And to help, of course, do that and to write this dropship, I got James and I got John with me. James, start with you. One word to describe today's competition. Go!
Chickens.
Chickens? Did he just say chickens?
She put me under pressure. I didn't know what to do. But
I love it.
And the word was chickens?
Don't be a chicken on the server. You know, you've got to be out there. You've got to be aggressive. You've got to be proactive, forward thinking. You've got to seize the moment.
James is a pro right there.
You brought it home. For me, Kate, you already know what word I'm going to use. It's going to be hype. We got Guild Esports, first place in the overall standings. We got Scars who's coming for their throats. I'm excited.
Well, you know what? That excitement, of course, has to be coming from the momentum that we saw last week during EMEA's face-off. So let's take a quick trip down memory lane with this tournament. Take a look at this tournament explainer here from EMEA from last Sunday. Take a look.
Yuki's answered back though. Dazzo now tries to go in as one player from Alliance here playing behind that knockdown. Dazzo the last player alive, and it's a 1v1. Dazzo versus the last player, Vibes.
This is where Guild Esports now swoop in. They get the revive, and this should be perfect for them.
Absolutely massive play, taking that second. And now they're going to move in with the Mastiff. Matafe misses the last shot, but makes contact with that one. And now Horizon on his own, but it's not enough. He can't make the 1v2 happen. And New Esports will close out the first game of the day.
Last team. I EMP them. Go. Send it to side. Coming.
Gotta be careful of that constant gas, but Alliance do not care, and they come in and take the win.
That's what we're talking about.
Guild versus Scars in our final standoff. It's 3v3. Little poke over the shoulder of this Rock here coming in from Taishin. He gets an armor swap as well, and now the reset's going to come in on the other side of thing from Guild. Mandy's going to swing out here. He takes down some shields, but nobody being knocked so far.
Armor swaps everywhere. Mandy trying to do as much as he can with the flatline.
Nice, boys, let's go!
Scars will get the victory, and what a game it was from them.
Guys, just chill. Last 2 teams. Here, in front.
Focus on the game.
Agas. Focus gaming. Last guy. I know the last guy. Kill him. Above us, low. Nice.
Good job.
Let's go, boys. Nice one, bro. Guys, behind us. Right here. Right there. He got knocked. I think he's dead. No.
Buggy in my crosshairs.
Just a whisper of help to work with. However, there's no armor swap for him. And now it's down to ZMB on his own. Fenerbahce might be able to clutch up here, but the battery gets popped. ZMB trying to do what he can. No more armor swaps available. Pinky Pinky's moving up. Surely this is going to be Fenerbahce's game.
They find themselves in a difficult position. Rogue 10 out, currently down, but not entirely out of this game. Nice shot from ZMB, providing some cover fire. But here comes the team pushing. It's going to be IG Invictus, your champions from last week. And our third team alive, well, it's Invictus Gaming getting an ultimate defensive bombardment. It's going to come down. It's going to knock Blast. It's not looking good for them. So on board with Arthur right now, finally trying to wipe this final team. They're going to do so, but here comes the third party coming through. It's going to be to the hands of Reply Totem. Nice job applying pressure. Amaz pushing up, not missing with the Eva April getting it knocked. Needs his teammates to close out after that. Sharp J Savage, what do you got? You got it all. A victory here for Reply Totem to close out game number 6. What a performance in clutch time for Totem.
And of course, big GGs and congratulations to Guild. Fallout, let's start with you as we just heard you commentating that final circle. Talk to me a little bit about what you're looking forward to in today's matches.
Yeah, we saw Totem win Game 6 right there, which was kind of much needed. Really slow start for them in week number 1. They're going to be competing again. They're in that group of death, right, alongside Scars, alongside Guild. 2 teams that have been playing out of their minds. I'm excited to see what Totem can do. But overall, Guild Esports is dominating the EMEA standings right now. A 5-point lead over GMT. We know how great they are. They are looking so incredibly sharp. It's great to see Matafe back in the ALGS.
Yes, it is. James, talk to me a little bit about these matchups here. We're looking at, of course, B versus D in this double round robin format. Yeah,
matchup-wise, I'm interested to see what these groups can do against each other. I would hope that some teams will see opportunity with certain matchups. I think, different groups matching up against each other, and depending on the style, it can cause some problems. But there are definitely some people who would like to have had some more points there and be at the heels of Guild for sure. So I think the likes of Scars, they're at the top here. Of this list on the right-hand side, and they definitely want to be at the top of the finishing places for these matches today.
Yeah, it's going to be, well, you know what? I think the word hype is absolutely true. And today's show is just going to be one of those days where we're going to see a lot of blood in that lobby, and it's going to be fun to watch. Well, speaking of things to watch, let's talk about some teams to watch. And that means it's time for our Lenovo teams to watch. Now, it was a hard decision to make, as it always is. Fallout, start us off on who you got in the crosshairs.
Absolutely. Team number one, well, it's a team I've had in my eyes for a couple of weeks now. It's Kingarna. And this Kingarna squad, formerly known as Nessie, fan favorites of Graceful, Mady, and JMW, multinational team who's looked really, really strong throughout the entirety of ALGS. Well, they've looked solid so far in Pro League, not necessarily as great as we expect them to be. However, they're looking to have a great day number 3. This squad is first place in ALGS Summer Circuit number 4, second place at the PGL Showdown back in October of 2020, a year ago, second place in Winter Circuit 2, but didn't qualify for the ALGS Championships. They got 22nd place overall in the EMEA ALGS champ. So really disappointing finish in their eyes. Obviously, that was their debut under the Kingarna banner. Didn't do as well as their North American counterparts in that one. They're going to look to have a great performance today, and I think they have a great opportunity to do exactly that. Currently in 12th place in the overall standings here as we take a look at Guild. James, talk to me about Guild.
Yeah, Guild, I have eyes on this team because they love a good 3P. They caused all kinds of problems last week, and there's a few teams who have grown from strength to strength from week 1 to week 2. And in terms of results, this team certainly has done. In week 1, they was finishing 15th, 10th, 4th, was 4th and 3rd were their best placings. But last week, they got 3 second places almost in a row. They got 3 second places in the first 4 games, which is fantastic and shows why they got so many points. 5th game, they came 3rd as well. So they had really consistent results in the last week, which allowed them to get to the top of the overall standings. The question is, can they continue that 3P BM and stay on top this week?
Yeah, that's right. This roster is such an interesting makeup, right? You have Horizon coming from underrated, such a great controller player from the UK. So I'm excited to see if Guild can continue that success. Meanwhile, team number 3, you'd be remiss not to include Scars, the bad boys of EU, the CEOs of EU, as some people say. RPR, Taishin, and Mandy. This team has looked great so far in Pro League, at least in week number 2. Had a really slow start in their standards, and then got second place right behind Guild in week number 2. Popped off, which is what we're expecting of them doing. One of the most highly skilled teams, a team that pound for pound never loses 3v3s. And of course, as I say that, they got third party right there, so clearly proving the point as we see Scars on screen. First place in ALGS champ, taking home $265,000 from the championship just months ago. First place in Summer Circuit number 3, first in Autumn Circuit 3, first in Winter Circuit. They are 4 times ALGS champions for a reason. One of the winningest teams in EU alongside Gambit, Alliance, and others.
I mean, that is exactly true. I like to think of Scars as one of those teams you don't want to bet against because they can be pretty scary. Well, those have been our Lenovo teams to watch. And I absolutely love, John, that when you talk about Scars is one of those teams that is I feel like what they're doing, this could be wrong, but it feels like what they're doing is they're just lulling us all into a false sense of security, and then they're going to strike. We'll find out what happens today, and of course, throughout this entire Pro League stance. So let's take a look at what our talent had to say about today's predictions. And I see, Fallout, you have joined me in Maestro, and James, UNT squared, bringing in Guild. James, talk to me about your choice.
Absolutely. I'm really interested in this team. Again, the 3Ps, I love it, man. Anything that's kind of slightly BM and annoys people, I'm about that life. And Guild are certainly doing that in the best way and accruing the points from that. Shout out to David Beckham as well, co-owner of Guild. So as a Man United guy, hey, I'm from London, but my mum used to live next to Old Trafford. Before anyone tweets me, you know, got to have bragging rights for that as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I was gonna say Fallout. You took a different. You came with me on Maestro. Love that. Or maybe I came with you. Who's to know? We found out together. Talk to me about Maestro.
Yeah, you know, look, I get my butts kicked on the overall predictions score and race right now because I keep picking these wild card picks. But I'm gonna roll with it at least one more week, and then I'll pick the safe bets like Guild, first place overall. James, Mr. Boring over there. Maestro, former CHMK roster, obviously a great squad. They've won multiple championships in the past, and they've been looking really, really solid so far. They haven't had that breakout performance, that first place finish that they need, and I'm putting a little hedging my bets a little bit on Maestro to do it. Really, really skilled squad coming from CIS.
Indeed, and the one holdout from all of us here is Mark over on the onset with Scars. We'll see what happens anyway. You know what? That means it's my time to take off and watch from the stands. Gents, over to you to cast us into game number 1.
Thank you very much, Kate. Oh, man. I love me some Apex. I'm playing at home. At home. I'm playing from a hotel at the moment with some very dodgy internet, but I'm trying to get back to Diamond just before the split ends. But all these players, of course, are well beyond Diamond, and they're going to show us some of the best Apex has to offer today. And it's going to be a great day of Apex, I'm sure. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see what 789 do as well. We haven't mentioned them yet, but I just can't get out of my mind the pressure they sometimes when they drop being contested, and I do wonder if they're going to be contested again today. They had a bad time of it, I think, in week 1, but were able to overcome that, and I wonder if people are going to test them again as we begin things in game 1.
Yeah, that's right. You know, that 789 is one team alongside Rebel, Reply Totem, that I kind of have on my watch list as teams that need to perform here in week number 3. Rebel especially, all the way down in 28th place. That's not what you'd expect them. Obviously, the team that dominated the Winter Circuit champions, looked really, really great about 8 months ago. Fell off a little bit in champs, and since then, it's been a little bit inconsistent from Rebel. So we have my eyes on them alongside 789, alongside Tota. But how could you not start things off with Scars as we see them drop in here, their favorite drop over an Overlook? Excited to see what Scars can do, and can they continue that success they saw in week 2 games?
That is the question. They'll have to find some good loot quickly and figure out where they're going to be rotating. Definitely a big team to watch, a big brand, as Fallout mentioned. Won a lot of money in this game so far, and there's a lot to win this year as well. A hell of a lot to win. Mandy will be having a look-see, getting a backpack early at the very least. We can see the zone will be heading towards Lava Siphon.
That's right. So expect Scars here to rotate really fast and to loot really fast. But just take a look. They occupy so much real estate on this map right now. Scars is going to drop in Respawn Village right outside of Fragment. And of course, Mandy and Taishin are going to drop in their typical spots in Overlook. That is so much loot that they're going to get. But expect them to rotate down through Geyser. That's usually their first rotation spot in a southern zone. And then quickly try to get positioning here with an early rotate. That's typically what we've seen from them as a late, which is a little interesting because it contrasts their original gameplay, which was, well, they love to play edge. They love to play aggressive. Obviously, things have changed quite a bit in terms of meta, and they choose instead for a quick rotation. So we'll keep an eye on that as we switch on over to Dungeon Masters.
Yeah, to touch quickly on Guild as we watch the looting here, I was watching Matafe's stream and having a little conversation with him, and he was talking about the zones as well and saying that he prefers the northwest zones because the southern zones could be a real problem if you have to rotate in, because it's really hard to fight for a place. But if you're rotating to, say, a northwest zone, for example, then you have a lot more area to fight. So regardless of where he lands, he always prefers a northwest zone. So I'm sure that'll be an early concern for his squads, trying to find a good place before they're all taken up. We've seen zones in that area before where buildings with, say, 4 or 5 floors have had a team in every single floor, and there can be big issues with that. If you're trying to rotate in, you've got no cover whatsoever. But we're going to have a listen into Guild and see what they're currently thinking about as they move around the map.
We're going to do the same as always, yeah? We're landing right side, back side. Okay?
Are they going the same? Bottom or top? Wait, bottom or top? Wait.
Same as always, but
they landed here. You still take it. Don't worry, just go.
Take it.
Take it. The pins on the right. Just go. Take it. They're not gonna focus us. Just go.
I have 2 whites, remember. They're fighting right now, so we can definitely land in.
No, they're here. They're here.
Yeah, they're fighting. Just go the backside inside. That was good for us. Go backside, bottom floor.
We're gonna nice. Okay,
I'm
blocking door. Chill. Just just chill. They're gonna push us maybe.
We're gonna have to take the other side later.
What boat do you have, Silta? What boat do you have?
White.
Can Silta, can you go up here with heavy ammo? Can you go get us? On the bin.
Yeah. I'm dropping some.
Thank you.
Yo, could you cover me for 1 second? I need to see if my stream's on, bro. I got packet loss.
Bro, fuck your stream right now, dude. What do you mean?
No. I need to see. No, I think I have a tab open. The stream tab open.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I guess. Just stay on the door. Don't move from the door.
Alright.
I gotta say, I think the dialogue between Matafe and Horizon is very, very interesting every week. So, gotta cover it while he checks if he's got packet loss, has a stream open, which is maybe ruining his internet. Quick alt tab, and hopefully he'll be good to go.
That was amazing across the board. First off, great because we got to hear their exact thought process on that rotation. They said, let's do what we always do. Obviously, they're well practiced with the zone, with the finish. It looks like they wanted to get early positioning, which they're able to do. So, good opportunity for them. And meanwhile, we'll switch on over to our last remaining crypto here. Going to just get the loot boxes of his teammates and try to get a respawn in, which they should be able to do, but not able to do exactly that is feature perfect. Disbelief only able to pick up one. It's Maliwan.
Yeah, he's going to have to wait around now. As his drone's been shot and they know that he hasn't recovered the banner, he has a decision to make. If he tries to move to a safer place, tries to go for a respawn, or just waits and recovers that banner. So I do wonder if he'll be hunted if they try and camp that banner, but looks like that might not be the case.
Yeah, just slowly playing this. Going to look for an opportunity once he gets his drone back, obviously, to get a mobile revive, at least on Maliwan. But will he go back for that banner is a question. Meanwhile, switching over to Top Dogs, an all-Finnish team. Silver medalists at the X Games in 2019, at least for Mimu and 0-0. They played alongside Snipe Down in that breakout event for them. But since then, have been a little bit quiet. We haven't seen a whole lot out of Top Dogs. They did qualify for ALGS Championships, finished in kind of the lower tier of that top 20, and they find themselves under some duress right now. Crypto Ult's going to come through. They're going to be a little bit razzled here as they're going to have to try and reset with a team nearby. Meanwhile, Scars finds himself in a horrible position. Not a good game. Number one for Scars is it's Maestro who does it. The CIS squad wipes Scars in a 3v3.
Thank you for the full shields and goodbye. That's the first finisher I've seen this season. Love to see it. I don't know if the crypto made it to that banner again. I think he got his ulti off, but maybe not much more. So we'll have to see. But that is an early exit for Scars. We did highlight them at the beginning, and that is not the first game we were looking to see. So that's a big issue from them. Looking at last week, they came 3rd, 5th, 1st, 4th, 8th, and 11th, and that is definitely way worse than any of those. 20th, not very spicy at all.
And that's me giving a virtual body slam to Onset. My prediction over his prediction. 3-0, we'll see if they can keep up, though. It's only game one. We got a lot of Apex to be played here, but nice job right there from Maestro. Look how fast, as I kind of mentioned earlier, look how fast Scars rotated, but despite that early rotation, sometimes you get caught in a 3v3. We didn't see what happened necessarily, if they were third-partied or if they just kind of got caught off guard, but Lava Siphon is kind of the central point of this zone right now. And there's this concept in competitive Apex called clumping, right? You typically have a bunch of teams that clump at the same POI. Lava Siphon is that area right now where we have quite a few teams fighting over Lava Siphon control. Rats is one of them.
Yeah, I can't imagine these doors are going to last very long around these buildings as more and more players rotate, more and more teams rather, rotate to this POI. A quick scan. And yeah, we are seeing more Bloodhounds, it seems, this week. We saw plenty of Cryptos previously, and I think we had a cameo appearance, essentially, from a Bloodhound in one of the previous weeks, but it seems that Bloodhound is coming back into the European meta here. Way more popular in North America previously, but we'll see if there is going to be a resurgence in EMEA.
That's right. Let's mark that down as things you love to see, at least me personally as a caster. Always fun to watch Bloodhound. Obviously means teams going to get a lot more aggressive. They're going to get intel. They're going to take that intel to push. Meanwhile, we do have the solo queue goats rocking that good old-fashioned Bangalore, baby, which you love that Shiv one-trick Bangalore pony and just prideful about it.
Hey, it's a beautiful pony. It's a beautiful pony, Fallout. It's gorgeous. It's got the finest hair, you know, eating the purest grass. Solo queue goats, of course, with the armor from the trials, which is going to be a good start from them. And I think we're going to have a listen in to see what the UK mans are doing right now.
From this side?
Yeah, I think so. There's a team still playing the choke up here, man. They're just like
I see. But they're running around. We can definitely look toward them, right?
Yeah, I'm with you.
They're running toward that rest, probably. That's what they're running toward.
Okay.
Maybe. They were like sprinting toward the other choke.
Right.
From what I saw. Cheek by cheek to this choke, guys.
Yeah.
There's some shots. They're there.
Up here.
They see us.
Playing the heady.
I'll put a bomb.
I'm bang ulting them.
We can yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Wanna move up with this?
Is that
move up with it.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we can move up a little bit.
I'm moving up on the left side here.
Right up on the right.
You guys move together.
They're balcotting maybe?
Yeah, they are.
That's fine.
That's all good.
Yeah, that's good.
Alright. I got no bats. I got 12 cells.
Jumping
no
a
bats.
bat.
Yeah, thanks.
They landed in the tunnel.
Team's playing this
getting
house over here or something.
They're getting EMP'd in the tunnel.
Got a live one out there.
Seems that 4Gang don't want any of that just now. Getting out of there with a Valcolt. I got to add the island to UK and Ireland, otherwise Zipet's going to ban me from his chat. And it's also worth noting that it was Diff's birthday very recently. I'm not sure if it was yesterday or the day before. So do tweet him a happy birthday, as he is slightly older now than he was a week ago. Congrats.
Indeed. Meanwhile, in the kill feed, James, 4Gang landed from that Valkyrie ult into a death. Wiped out as their second team eliminated, and that was by Top Dog. So they wanted to escape the pressure of solo queue goats, which I personally was hoping for a 3v3. You're on the edge of the ring. You're not going to get third-partied. Instead, they run with their tail between their legs, and they get taken out as soon as they land by Top Dogs. 4Gang is out.
And this is my question with the Valcolts as well. Obviously, some Valcolts are extremely useful, but some are less useful than others and can get you into a lot of trouble. But that is a very early Valcolt punish. And it is something that last week I was saying, I do wonder if we're going to see this more and more from week to week as Valcolts just get you deleted, essentially. Or you're not really sure what you're landing into. And these grey armors are going to get upgraded. A charge rifle is going to be very useful for that. ZMB will put himself into a much better situation as, we are a few minutes into this now, round 2 starting to close, but I've seen quite a few grey armors around still, which cannot be a good feeling.
Yeah, and a quick point on that Valk and Valk overall is part of meta. Obviously, at one point, almost every team, it seemed like, was running Valkyrie. And I think week over week, we've seen less and less Valkyrie. For that reason, I think that ultimate from Valk is kind of hit or miss. Whether or not you're going to be able to successfully use it to rotate is a big question mark. Meanwhile, obviously, we have Ash announced coming to Apex Legends. So excited for Escape, our next season, and another very kind of highly mobile legend. I'm excited to see how that shakes up the meta a little bit. Speaking of shaking up the meta, we saw Seer enter Apex Legends, and almost everyone was running Seer early on. Stopped doing that. Well, we have Seer making his debut. I think it was the first time I've seen Seer in an ALGS Pro League match with ZMB or ZMB. This is EMEA. I gotta simulate.
Oh, does that mean I have to say Z later? Crikey.
Exactly. Good luck.
I'll do my best. I think we have seen one Seer, but I couldn't tell you what region. But yeah, it's interesting. I think we're going to see more Wraith as some people kind of come away from the Valk. I don't think it'll be to everyone's taste. We're seeing some people try Crypto with mixed results as well. So I think the Valk numbers will stabilize a bit lower than they've been in previous weeks, and I think the more closer range rotates with Wraith and the like will be coming back, which is good because then we can see some more kidnaps or failed attempts at kidnaps, which we did see last week as well, which is even more entertaining than a successful one.
Indeed it is. You don't want to, laugh at a team's expense, but sometimes you want to laugh at a team's expense. That's for sure. And, meanwhile, we talked about Ash, right? For those that maybe didn't read the patch notes, please do. Patch notes announced yesterday. Ash, details of this new legend seem so interesting. Phase breaches Ash's ultimate, which opens a one-way portal to a targeted location, which the portal can be used by anyone after the fact. So talk about mobility, talk about rotations. Ash will obviously be a critical legend in that category, and I think could be highly used, great potential for competitive Apex. But as we take a look now at Crypto, getting some visibility here. Lava Siphon, I mentioned, was kind of a clumped area, but it's going to be on the edge of the ring. The ring's going to be pulling slightly west of Lava Siphon in terms of where we're finishing, up towards train tracks and tunnel. So it'll be an interesting finish here with a lot of elevation and a lot of open area as we see Solo Q Goats struggling their way on this ring rotation. That's the struggle of playing Edge.
Yeah, it really is. And they've got guns pointed at them as soon as they come back in again. They've got some area, though, and Shiv can try to force them away with the bang ult. He pulls it out and throws it, and that'll give them some space creation as well. And they can run behind the barrage as it goes line by line, which will allow them to push forward if they want to do that. So that's always good for some defensive or aggressive area control. And the smokes will allow them to move from position to position. Not too far away from the next ring, so that won't be too much of a concern, but stabilizing and securing a place will be quite important here. We'll see if these guys choose to engage each other a lot, or there is open ground between these two teams, so it is quite the decision to choose to push forward.
Yep. And if you're a team like Solo Q Goats that prefers to play Edge, that's your play style. And obviously, just look at their legend composition, right? You have a Bangalore, you have a Wraith, you have a Gibraltar. Great comp for playing Edge. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and this team is probably one of the best at that. In these moments where you have teams on both sides, you're fighting a two-front war, you have to make quick decisions. We've heard from listen-ins with Solo Q Goats exactly that over the past few weeks. Their ability to make close split-second decisions in these moments, so interesting here. And if possible, I'd love to jump into a listen-in with Solo Q Goats as they find themselves stuck and potentially sandwiched between two teams. Interesting to hear how they play this, but for now, we'll keep a close eye on them and see if we can jump into a listen-in. Solo Q Goats find a team of 3 right in front of them.
Yeah, and I think this team may be forced to fight, but we have a listen-in ready now, so let's go and tune in to Solo Q Ghosts and see what they're up to.
It's the 3PS, bro.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Just doing an option.
We just have to play zone to zone. We can go from inside Harvester, no? If we can get up there.
Yeah, perhaps. We might need a portal for that, though.
Thinking.
The whole team's looking at us from inside here.
Yeah, I know. Have to watch our backs from now. They're gonna valve bolt behind us. They're not a problem.
I mean, there is also a safety little crevasse here on the left. I don't know if we can get to that.
Where?
You see my ping? It's on the far side though. It's hard. We'll need a safe portal for that rotation though.
What safety crevasse?
That little lava.
Oh,
fixture.
on the far side.
Yeah. I mean, like
maybe if we run around. Yeah, they're gonna valve gold. They're 100% gonna valve gold. Yeah. Maybe if we run around the zone. Do you have flash mats?
I have 2 medkits.
Okay, give him a medkit. Give him a medkit.
There you go.
All right, let's do it then.
Come. Heal under here. I'm making a TP from here, okay?
Yep, do it. Keep a bridge looking at us.
You can take it. Yeah. Right. I mean, we are safe here, but obviously it's interesting.
Yeah, we're just playing a third something here, I think. If we
do we just rat? Do we just like rat?
Yeah,
not
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
We have to be ready to shoot at people if they peek to look in here. Okay?
Yeah.
Very important.
For sure.
I agree.
Difficult situation which they managed to escape there, Fallout. What did you think of that listening?
Yeah, interesting listen and great timing to jump into a listen. And 3 things in particular. You heard Shiv say they aren't a threat behind us. They're just going to Valk ult, right? So notice their ability to assess danger across each team nearby. And then, of course, after that, we need to save our portal for later. They actually ended up using that portal. Better use it than lose it. And then lastly, we are safe here, but it's an interesting spot. Not the ideal location. Hopefully they decide to rat, which means they're just going to basically chill. They're going to be chilling. They're going to be trying to wait for other teams to take each other out. As I say that, of course, they find themselves right in some static in the Solo Q Goats way. They find themselves in a dangerous spot.
They do have the dome, though. And last week, they didn't have the dome. I want to say they were running a Valk composition that was domeless, and that caused them a lot of problems. So they've learned from that and gone back to the dome. And we can see Guild again. The 3P gods trying to do more damage. Is a great kill. And it's the second kill for Silto. Goes for a quick armor swap, gets an upgrade, in fact. And they communicate some upgrades for his team. But they are somewhat out in the open, and there are quite a few teams here. It's a small ring now with 12 squads remaining, so things are going to escalate very quickly indeed. You need to loot up fast.
Yeah, that's right. We do see Maestro lighting up the kill feed with 3. Guild obviously doing the same on board of Nemesis right now. Rock and Seer, love that we're jumping over so we can see the impact Seer has. Obviously in these late games, ton of potential to get some quick kills with Sears Tactical. Meanwhile, Robin on Wraith, sitting currently on a low ground portal to right around the corner but they'll have to make that rotation here momentarily. This is going to be a tough rotation for Nemesis.
It's going to be, well, this is going to be a slaughter in 40 seconds. Yeah. You can see on the radar the lack of buildings, which I have no doubt are occupied. The GB domes are going to be crucial. The ults are going to be even more crucial. Quick move to the high ground, and I think it's time to fight for Nemesis into the dome. There's caustic gas absolutely everywhere. Can barely see through all the yellow. And that's before the rings included as well. Maestro Gaming gets some nice KP. 6 kills now for Sanya with a quick bat. 18 seconds before this ring starts to move. They still need to cross that open and find some cover somewhere.
Yeah, and Sanya on Gibraltar with a stat line that looks like a Wraith popping off right now. It is Maestro with at least 6 to 9 kills. We know they've wiped about 3 teams. They are popping off. Meanwhile, Top Dogs, we hyped them up. The Finnish squad, silver medalists from the X Games, as mentioned earlier, they find themselves well shielded, well kitted, and well positioned for potential high ground here as they're going to slowly work this rotation on the edge of the ring. Meanwhile, Guild has to do the same here and should be in a good position to do so, especially with the Gibraltar and Wraith.
There is a crypto that's still around, so if there is or not, you've got to be real careful about your domes. They may not offer you the protection you think.
Yep. There's no man's land in front of them too. This is a tough rotation. Complete no man's land. Obviously that dome is going to be the artificial cover that they need, but that artificial cover is exactly that. It's temporary and it's artificial, but Guild doesn't even matter when they're connecting for shots like that. Over solo queue, Goats, big fight, and Guild comes out on top, and the third party comes through. Guild has to be careful.
There's the barrage, but they're all dead already before they can enjoy the pain from the rockets. 6 squads remaining, and that kill feed is still getting lit up. Dungeon Masters now looking to capitalize on this in the last 6. Got to aim for the top 3 at least, and then there are decisions to make if you want to play for second or play for first. Top Dogs now trying to hold on to their building as best they can. We've got Mimu on hands and knees, though. Someone's going to have to res him, and they may need to create some space to be able to do that. 789 in the meantime. Looking pretty good. 2 purples and a red. They've got a big rock to play with for the time being. 36 seconds until they'll have to move forward away from that rock. 5 squads remaining now. Everyone's got to be targeting a top 2 placement, but not everybody can make it there. See more GBLTs coming through, but the buildings will certainly help. Lots of jiggling from Top Dogs, not wanting to expose themselves, but trying to find information by showing a little flesh.
That's right. We have Dungeon Masters, Major Pushers, Kungarna, Top Dogs, all alive as it currently stands. One more squad as well. Major Pushers is going to take out XNs from Dungeon Masters. XN's going to be able to get revived quickly, though, thanks to the Dome Shield. And Dungeon Masters, for now, back to a full 3. But the pressure is there. And it's going to be Lumi somehow able to survive. Nice alternative pressure from Plushka to try and put some pressure back on their opponents. And no team's going to try and push this, because if they do, they're going to get third party right after. So it's going to be a slow burn here for these squads as we come into this final ring.
Having to make a quick escape is Plushka just to try and stay alive for the team, and it might be about trying to rat and placement, but no man's land absolutely deleted immediately, domed by 0-0 with the wingman. And they're gone. Major Pushers now. They can see plays on the other side. So they've got some positions for now, but that ring is continuing to close some good damage. But there's a stray arc star in the middle of somewhere. That's going to cause some problems, but the armor is still up for now, unless your name is Ranches the Valk, having to go for the medkit at the moment. But they've got some cover there, just peppering with that long-range Eva 8, just causing as many problems as possible, just weakening, maiming everybody. But they've got to find some KP as well.
Yeah, and the long range used the Eva 8 with, instead of the flat line. Interesting decision from Cleve, and he's going to do a little bit of damage there. Kungarna's going to take out 789. They are out. We got 3 teams remaining, and you got to think Major Pushers in the best position here. As I say that, though, Top Dogs, they want static, they want smoke, they push high ground on Major Pushers. Get some great shots, and an MP not able to position themselves correctly. It's going to be Top Dogs that take them out, but the third party is going to be coming, James.
Jibby manages to escape in the portal without dying to the ring. We'll see if he can survive. And we've got bombardments all over the place. There's no time. They need the shield swap. Mimu trying to go for the bat in plain sight, trying to go behind his teammates' shields. And he's able to do it just about. Doing as best he can with the L-Star, but it's going to be Kungarna who come in and drill them straight to the floor. A big battle in a big open space, slight elevation, and Kungarna will take your first game.
What a game from Kungarna. That's a high kill, first place game. 12 points for first, plus at least they got 6 to 8 kills. Massive showing from Kungarna. We had them in our teams to watch for great reason. A team that are former champions that have been there before, again, failed to qualify for ALGS championships just months ago, and they start strong in week number 3.
Very interesting from start to finish on our teams to watch. Polar opposites, Kungarna in first place and Scars out in last. So on the one side, that's a fantastic result from Kungana. They've got the KP as well, but Scars just out in absolute last place. Hey, I think it's better for them that it happens in the first game, because then they've got plenty of time to recover. But that is a horrible start for them, but a huge victory in the first game for Kungana.
Yeah, massive showing for Kungana. And then elsewhere, we did see a solid start for 789. They got 4th place, and we talked about the must-perform game here. Another team that did not see in the standings, I don't see here in the top 10. Well, that's Rebel. They need to continue to perform. Look at the kills out of Maestro. They're going to get 11 points, which will put them in 5th place in the overall standings. But an 8-kill first-place game for Kungana. Top dogs, another kind of must-perform team right behind them. And look at 789, high kills as well with 6, getting 5th overall in placement. James, what else are you seeing here?
Yeah, Maestro Gaming, 10th place, but 9 kills will give them a lot of points from a bad placement. So I think that's not too shabby, all things considered. They got the worst case scenario avoided there by getting some kills. Guild Esports as well, we saw them getting some kills. So they'll get 2 points from placement and 4 from the kills as well. So they're on the board. They've got something. Solo Q Goats, I'm sure, will be disappointed with their first game there. Again, they went back to the Dome for this week, but the first game wasn't going to go in their favor, which is quite unfortunate. But Kungana, we can see who got the kills now, and it is the Wraith with 6 kills, 1300 damage. Not really messing about. Graceful, absolute killer.
Yeah, that's the stat line you'd expect from your Wraith, your tip of the spear. Massive game from Graceful, as you'd expect from Graceful in particular as well. JMW playing a great support role, 2 assists, good damage, and Mady right behind as Valk. Massive game for Kungana. They take first. And you mentioned Solo Q Goats, slightly disappointing game for them. And you never want to see a team that plays Edge with a Bangalore with an aggressive team comp with 0 kills, because that play style really revolves around getting high kills early by taking 3v3s, avoiding third parties. Solo Q Goats just didn't have the opportunity as they were kind of on the prowl. And they tried finding one team. It was Figvam, who ran away from them, rotated with a quick Valk ult to their death. And unfortunately, they just couldn't find the KP that they needed.
Yeah, didn't really find a great opportunity. Had some people backed in the corner, but in a sandwich, you don't want to get 3P'd, so it doesn't work out for them in game 1. Maybe it will, though, in game 2, which is coming up after the break. We'll see you soon.
Monster Energy, the official energy drink of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, everybody, to the ALGS Pro League. We're here in EMEA, and Tom Taylor is alongside me, and we have coined ourselves as Tomset ahead of Game 2, which I think is one of the easiest and probably less creative things we could have called ourselves. But Tom, an amazing first game from Kungana, and to be honest with you, about time, because the first couple of weeks for those guys haven't been too much to talk about.
All rooting for is solo Q Goats, and they haven't really got anything going over the last couple of weeks. I'd love to see them have a breakthrough game. We had 2 listens with them in the previous game. They land over towards the trials side, and when you're landing over towards trials, you know that you're going to be getting a lot of loot. You know that you're going to be moving forward as well, but you have to take your fights and you have to win your fights.
Well, there's a leaderboard from game number 1. You can see Kungana at the top there, 20 points on the board. A great start for them. But I think you're right, Tom. We take our attention away from some of the teams that maybe we've been discussing at the start, because they're the teams who have been up there outside of Kungana. Kungana, a good example of what I want to talk about. Teams who's kind of outside of the top 10 overall leaderboards now, which we start to have to look at moving through the weeks, because we're getting to that stage now where the likes of, like you mentioned, Solo Q Goats, Rebel, if they don't start picking up points soon, then this could be over for them pretty soon.
Yeah, exactly. But it's so tough to come and play in these lobbies when everybody knows what you're doing, right? The EMEA region is understanding where everyone's going to land, where everyone's going to rotate, everybody's play style as well. So all of these teams are just so aware of what's going on that you have to make these next steps. And you have to get snowballing just a little bit harder. And I think what that comes down to is these crazy situations that we see in the final circles, right? Because we're not getting any 50-50s off the drops. We're also making sure that you're not taking any crazy fights that are going to allow you to get third-partied. So everyone's playing extremely passive-aggressive. And when that happens, you're going to have a lot of coexisting towards these final zones. And it all comes down to these 30 seconds, 1 minute when we go to zone 4, zone 4 or 5, and these split-second decisions that end up just making the entire day for you.
I completely agree with you. I think a great example of that is Scars, right? If you look across their results the last couple of weeks, it's been a lot of consistency in top 10, top 5, right? They get to that end game. But when they've had good weeks, they've turned top 5s into first, into second. And that is kind of what you're saying, right? You get to those final circles, that's kind of job 1, right? That's getting into a position to play from. But execution in those final circles is what's separating the leaderboards at this stage.
Yeah, there's certain times where you need to take fights and certain times that you don't. Sometimes you have to play passive, sometimes you have to play aggressive. And a lot of it comes down to utilizing all of your utility at the end of the game, right? You want to have your Nox Gas Grenade. You want to have your Bubble. You want to have your defensive bombardment. You want to have your Rolling Thunder if you're going to be playing Bangalore. So there's a lot of different things that you're going to need that you need to save all the way towards the end of the game, all of your grenades, et cetera, et cetera. And then it has to come down to, do we take this fight? When do we push? You see a lot of plays being forced. And a lot of times when you watch high-level Apex, the team's screen that looks like the easiest is the team that's going to go and win. And a majority of the time, they're keeping all the action in front of them, which means that they just have so much real estate that they're able to scout, gather information, and make an educated play based on that. When you switch to a team that's dying, they're really filtered into a pigeonhole where they don't have any information. They're going to a spot where they're most likely going to die, and they're playing desperate just to get into position.
That domino effect is so devastating in that end game. But we're here in game number 2 now. Kungana, the champions, the kings, if you like, of game number 1. And Young Money Gill going to be dropping over here at Lava Siphon, where he saw a lot of action in that first game. But Tom, who do you want to watch in this second game? Because there's so many teams to talk about at this point. It feels like every team in the lobby, every team in the EMEA Pro League at this stage has their own story.
I'm looking at some of the teams in Group B right now, because Kungana's in Group B. They won that one. But when you touch based on Rebel, 0 points so far. Maestro, which we've had 2 picks in terms of our analyst desk of who's going to be able to be the best team today, they had 12 points going into our last day. They had 0 points in the first day as well. I'm looking at 7, 8, 9, Solo Q Goats, Major Pushers. Yes, I want to talk about Group D a little bit later, and I picked Guild Esports as my pick today. But after watching Kungana go, I'm looking at these groups in Group B.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think it's kind of the story under the story, if you like, to watch at the moment. We are going to see us Beacon give us the information on zone number 2 as well. And it looks like we're heading maybe towards Geyser here, Tom. A little bit of Big Mord still involved. And we saw a lot of Big Mord last week in our second week of action here in the Pro League.
When you look at this zone, one of the key things to look at here is how much of the mountain on the right-hand side, on that east side, is still in, which makes me feel like it's most likely going to pull over towards the Geyser side. Yeah, it could be over towards Big Mod. Getting in the choke between Geyser is going to be good, but I think this is where we're going to start to see the Valkyrie team composition shine, because you need to get over towards that east side immediately. You need to get inside Geyser. There's a handful of buildings that you can hold in. There's a handful of areas that you can hold outside of the buildings as well. Maybe it's the respawn in the very backhand side on the east side of Geyser. You could also consider holding the 3 pills area, and you can hold the cave as well when you rotate over from No Name. So a lot of different options for this zone. We'll see what our players elect to pick.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very, very interesting zone. And I wonder if some of those teams who are kind of traveling down from the north are going to wait for that third beacon, who might have Valkyrie in their composition to make a slightly more informed decision about where they want to redeploy to, if they want to go to Geyser, if they get that third beacon information, or if it is going to pull towards Big Maud. But I find Geyser quite a difficult zone to play late, because obviously it has a lot of chokes surrounding it. You pointed out those mountain ranges quite rightly, as the first thing we're going to point out here is legit Lolly putting someone on their back, and that is Rats eliminated, and all 3 kills going down to legit Lolly as well. So a perfect start here for 4Gang.
3 rats down for 4Gang. That's really nice there for legit Lolly. Like, straight up exterminated, making them look like 3 blind mice instead of rats right there. Very nicely done. But now you see how fast and important these rotations are here, Mark. Everybody is getting out of there. Congarna's getting out of Lava Fisher. They're redeploying. They're going to use another redeploy as well a little bit later. Top Dogs, they're going on over towards the choke here. Geyser's one of those zones where it's kind of similar to Thermal Station, right? These southern zones are pretty unforgiving. And if you don't get in, you're going to be playing out. And if you play out, you're most likely going to have to play kill points instead of placements, because unless you're going for some sort of crazy redeploy, going from zone number 2 to zone number 3 scan, you're going to be in a tough situation. So getting that crypto drone, getting that information is going to be pretty key here.
Oh, 100%. I couldn't agree more with what you said there. And just to take it even further, if you get one of those early positions as well, you manage to get a building. We take it back to the talk about Valkyrie Skyward Dive, right? You're going to have teams kind of making desperate plays towards that end game. And if you're in a good spot, if you've got a place to hold, then that might be KP for you to pick up along the way. So an early rotation here is absolutely vital, but we're actually going to jump into some comms early on here. One team who's making their rotation and trying to force their way towards Geyser. At the moment, they're quite far away, is the winners of our game 1. Let's see what Congarna have to say.
Just keep looting. They looted. They didn't loot this again.
Oh, they just rotated early, I think.
Yeah, they rotated really, but that means more loot for us because we're going to be edge anyways. I might need that medkit actually. Bat here, medkit. I'm
Wait, this is like half on looter now. What the fuck is this?
That's not. They ran out fast. Take the bat maybe.
Yeah, I can.
Bro, they skipped. Wait, crafting. He might have seen me. Yeah, he saw me. I'm running away now.
Why are they?
He knows I'm white armor.
Yeah, be careful.
Okay, then I don't think we fucking take this fight.
No, we do not fight this.
We're double.
I'm flanking left already. I'm going up. Okay, I might need bubble. Maybe not. We're chilling. Selling.
I'm staying with him, just in case.
Do it.
Holy fuck, man.
One of them's white as well.
Be careful.
We need to get out of this. So
we just go harvest there. I don't think we run through that side. We go back north, I think. What the fuck are they doing?
I don't know.
Can you watch from him? I need one sold.
I can drop you.
No, don't do
He means hold. He means hold while he's selling. Yeah, let's go back. Why the fuck are they edge? They looted so slow and they're still edge? And they're crafting?
I don't think that's them. That was a Bloodhound team, no?
Oh, it was?
It looked like it.
Okay.
I might be wrong then.
Careful, solo queue. That's the team I'm the most worried about.
I just don't want to. I would be happy to fight if we were like double blue purple, but like.
Yeah.
This fucking sucks.
The zone on our ass as well.
Honestly, we might just go north. But we're gonna have to get. We're gonna have to go in no matter what. Like, oh, they're here now.
Yeah. You wanna go around?
Wait, I think that was solo queue.
Then we just take like straight center, no? Just go. Trying to go through staging.
Just go into harvester. We just go to mountain for now.
Let's explore this way.
Good job not getting down there as well. You were getting hurt.
He was like the B-mage only.
I mean, I got 69 until Evo, so...
Nice, nice.
69?
Well, they see us. They're on medic here. Go left, maybe?
Racing, I think.
No, Grace, I don't think we can go that way, can we?
Wait, I'm looking. I don't see anyone.
I'm going.
You can.
They're either trapping or running into harvest.
They're trapping. They're here, I think. So now I'm trapping them. I promise you they're here.
Someone just flew out.
That was from thermal.
I think they're gonna crawl up on our... May, can you take the mountain?
Well, Kangana, a lot to discuss there, Tom. And, you know, we talk about the high level of competitive Apex, communication, all that good stuff. But timing on rotation is something that really isn't talked about enough, in my personal opinion. And Kangana showing how one fight, one little bit of disruption can completely mess up your plan, and you have to readjust so quickly.
Guild, I believe they may have Valkyrie redeployed over here with Horizon going for that, and now they're stuck inside a lava siphon where there's going to be a team already on top of them. That's one of the things that you have to worry about when you're Valkyrie redeploying. If you go onto the ground immediately, you don't get to shoot, right? You have that second or two of gun punch where you're sitting there, and the other team's going to have a big advantage. Yes, you are going to be able to get the scans with the passive, but now you're in a tough spot, right? Because unless you're going to go for another Valkyrie redeploy with a bubble on top of that, or maybe Silta's going to go and portal you out, look at all the player outlines. We have the luxuries of seeing what's going on here. It'll get on a scan onto zone number 3. A lot of teams are rotating over through here, and that's why you saw the conversation that was happening with Kagarna. They're a little bit worried about what's in front of them and what's behind them because how awkward this zone's going to be, right? So I can't wait to see what happens for these teams on the outside because there's going to be a lot of teams already inside Geyser. You could see it's heavily favored over there, but we get another bounce and scan for where the big mod is too. So it's still 50-50 on which side this is going to go.
I was going to say, it's the one thing that I think every single team was hoping they wouldn't see from the next beacon, which is the fact that we're still split. Are we going to be Geyser? Are we going to go big mod? Well, I think teams are still not decided. You can see where all the teams are currently positioned. Nobody really happy to take real estate in either as it stands. Guild now going to make their move, and they're going to make their move quite rightly, I think. Not going to use that Valkyrie redeploy. Don't want to make too much noise with so many different teams coexisting inside of that building. One bit of noise and all of a sudden it can all kick off. But 4Gang, who we already know have 3 kills to their name, they're currently making their way a little bit of a sneaky route here towards Geyser. They may go through the vault tunnel, or they may try something a little bit different.
Yeah, Volt Tunnel is an option. Still have the redeploy if you want to go and use that one. So it's just so awkward when you're splitting between 2 major POIs like that with just one choke in the middle. It's going to be absolute chaos when we do see which side that's going to pull over towards. I know a lot of the players have set up over towards that Geyser area. So if that's the case, if it goes down to big mod, things are going to get bloody really quick. Solo Q Goats trying to find their own fight over here towards Harvester. And you heard Kungarna again with the comm saying, hey, we're worried about Solo Q Goats. Why? Most likely because they're going to full send on you at any given point in time.
Oh, yeah.
And that makes them a scary team.
It certainly does. Plus, the fact that they land over at Trials as well, you know they're going to be looted up pretty well. And that's one issue that Kangana have right now. You heard in the comms, they were saying, we're happy to take a fight, but we've got 2 white armors. So we don't have a huge HP kind of difference to play with at this point. Whereas you look at Solo Q Goats, you've got 2 purples, you've got a blue. And that makes it even more worrying. We know these guys like to fight. Speaking of fights, here's Guild. And it's all down to Silta and Horizon now as they're inside of the bubble. It looks like they've managed to win that one. They've got the point to the board.
They win, but it's about that reset, and the reset doesn't come fast enough. You can see that Silta was trying to lay down an extra armor for the swap, but there's just not enough time. 69 IQ coming in with the third party. We saw that on the player outlines. It's so difficult to coexist on these buildings because you know one of the teams is going to full send on to each other eventually, and there's another team just waiting in the wings. This time, it's 69 IQ with the big brain play. Now, Solo Q Goats trying to figure out how they're going to rotate through the zone here. Still just round 2, so they're not going to take that much damage.
I think Big Maul's one of those places as well, POI-wise. I know it's one of the new additions to World's Edge, but it's very difficult to coexist because there's so many little rooms inside. As soon as, like I mentioned earlier when we were over Lava Siphon, one bit of noise, someone has a poke, someone gets it down, someone else gets involved, and the more teams that you have coexisting inside of Big Maul, the more problems it can cause. But Kangana making their way towards... It seems like they're coming in from Lava City side at the moment, just going through this tunnel, the choke with the vault just on their left-hand side. So they're kind of trying to avoid all of the carnage that's going in at the moment. And with everyone kind of split towards Geyser, maybe thinking it was Geyser a little bit earlier on, and now it's pulling towards Big Maw. This could be a really smart rotation, I should say, for them to come into the zone from the south here of World's Edge.
And these are the two teams we were talking about, Kungarna and Solo Q Goats, going forward from game number 1 into game number 2. And this is very similar to where they land. Lava Fissure and over towards Trials, all the way having to make their way towards Geyser and Big Mod is the opposite side of the map. And if you've been watching competitive Apex over the last month, we've had a lot more southern zones than northern zones, which is kind of tough for these type of teams. But Kungarna was able to do it in the previous game. They were able to win a zone that pushed a little bit over towards the south. And this is how they do it. They just continue to play the edge, continue to make sure they're not taking any major risks, and just gather information as they go.
Well, there's the 3-2-1, and they're trying to beam one player, and JMW will combine with his two teammates to get the knock onto North, and Rebel were one of those teams who we were saying, hey, they need to have some good games, and they need to have them soon. Well, losing one player here after a difficult game 1 is not the start that they would have wanted to game 2. Kungarna taking a lot of damage, though, as they move their way across. A couple of kills starting to light up in the feed as well. No surprise to see the action picking up now, Tom, as the zone is forcing teams together.
Getting safe into the zone, getting that knock is great. Yes, they didn't get all of the knocks, they didn't get the flushes, but they still bought some real estate to get safe into the next zone, and now they can reset, heal, and retake this fight, wondering if there's going to be multiple players around for a third party. There goes a portal coming through, and that should continue to be Rebel as the Falgri missiles are going to come through. This is going to have to be a fast fight for Kungarna, Mike. If they don't take this quickly, there's going to be a third party.
They still have the 2v3 as well, so they have the man advantage. You can see that one player's already knocked. They managed to get that knock earlier. He hasn't managed to be revived. 0-0 in the feed as well for Top Dogs. They had a pretty good game 1, and they've managed to pick up a kill on to a team here around Big Maud, and now we're going to see the push in, and that's the kind of wipe that you want for Kungarna. The winners of game 1 continuing that momentum here, Tom, into game number 2.
See how they reset there? We don't even have a chance to reset because there's another fight taking place over towards the middle of the zone inside of the blue trailer. It's going to be Redragon, one of our teams that is always finding themselves into the middle of the zone. The predictions have been phenomenal, fantastic for them overall. Another armor swap coming in for Kerry Rubik, but without a Caustic in this situation, it's a little bit awkward. They're going to have to really keep their heads on a swivel. And look at this, the amount of teams over here on that Big Mod side. It's going to get very interesting very soon.
It certainly is. There's going to be teams poking, prodding, seeing what damage they can do and seeing if they can get a knock. And then another team might be thinking, hey, we'll have a sniff at this. We'll see if we can pick up that KP. But for Kungarna, this is why I was talking about how much I love this rotation. Winning that fight against Rebel, massive for them. They now have the loot that they need to move forward. Plus, they're safe in that next circle. With other teams coexisting in front of them, they can kind of just overlook everything that's happening at the moment, play a passive game, and wait for the opportunity to present itself to rotate in.
That's how you win the games. You keep the zone towards your back. The problem for Rebel is they were acting like that was zone number 3 or zone number 4. You have to realize in zone number 2, another team can still rotate over behind you. You don't really expect it, but it happened. The 3-2-1 came through, and now their position gets taken. It's just a really heads-up play from Kungarna, again, being across the map, having to make their way over here. And you can see the amount of safety that they have here, Mark. No teams over towards that bridge area is going to be a big deal for them.
It's really, really good for them. And now Maestro Gaming, they're in a pretty good spot at the moment. Also have Horon on the core stick, which is going to be really, really good for them to hold down this position, deny those lines of sight. As Rugby's trying to get a little bit of poke damage at the moment. Still needs 590 damage to get that Evo shield up to red. But if he's got a couple of thermites in the back pocket here, Tom, that Rampage, I tell you what, it is a dirty, dirty weapon to be on the receiving end of.
Do you want us to use the thermite for that, or do you want to chuck it into the trailer that's extremely small where 3 players are huddled in right next to each other? I'm not quite sure. That's a good call either way, but here goes Redragon, make their way back over towards the trailer area. And this is what's so key. Always keeping your Wraith away from your team within phase distance so you can own multiple areas and multiple real estates, and that's what they're doing, and I love that. That just shows the confidence that they have, that they're ready to work together at any given point in time. If the bubble needs to go down for Kerry Rubik, they're going to go and do it. If missile swarms come down, that's going to be a thing as well. Always keeping that door open for your Wraith. Well, they don't even have doors, so it's a-okay.
Well, just looking at the zone pool as well, we're actually going away from Big Maud itself, and we're kind of, looks like we're going to be playing a bit of paintball here in game 2 as we move towards that area. But Redragon here, they're just trying to hold out this team. We mentioned how important it was for Kungarna to have their backs clear. Well, this is exactly what Redragon are trying to do now. Hold down this trailer, look out and see if they can take this team out. He's trying to rotate in behind them, but as we know, any damage gets done, they're going to be leapt upon. So big, big moments in the game for them.
Expect to see a handful of teams die as this zone starts to close. I mean, this is fairly awkward. Teams coexisting all over Big Mod. You'll probably see at least 3 to 4 just in that area alone. When we look at this platform and these trailers, teams coexisting inside of there as well. Teams are going to have to rotate out, though, like major pushers. They're going to Valkyrie redeploy coming through. We have Kongarna inside the eggshell in the respawn as well. This is going to give us a great idea on where all of those players are. Yeah, it's packed.
Yeah, it's lighting up like a radar at the moment, and even with the Valkyrie passive to give that information, it's not going to be comfortable. However, somehow major pushers have managed to find somewhere to play. Just the solo Gibby trying to hold down one area. He was located maybe with that passive. A great move here from major pushers, and to be honest with you, Tom, I'm a little bit surprised they managed to make it in that easily, as Kongarna now take to the skies, and they'll redeploy down as well, and they found somewhere to play.
That was an amazing redeploy. I was not expecting a solo Gibby inside there. I was expecting multiple caustic traps, an entire team ratting inside there. But Jay Savage is on the ropes. You can see the missiles coming through. Looks like potentially playing a knockdown shield 4 gang on top of Big Mod. They're going to have to move as we take a look at where this zone's going to pull. Only 2 buildings inside here, and they're both trailers.
Well, Skynade nearly did some damage here. Major pushers now trying to put the pressure onto Maestro, who you can see have locked down those crates, as they will force the bubble as well with the defensive bombardment coming in. So for now, it's a waiting game. 0-0 picks up one in the feed. Another one going down for Top Dogs. Now they're just waiting to time this thermite. If they can land this one well, they might get some more burn damage. The missile swarm comes in from another team as well. And you can see everyone's just posturing at the moment, waiting for any kind of opportunity to strike as Kongarna. The beams come in from Matey, and now he tries to take advantage of that damage being done as well.
You're seeing such great plays from Kongarna, a team playing the edge, another team playing the edge, major pushers risking it all, finding that one safe haven that's also in the next zone too. Those 2 decisions are the decisions that we're talking about. These split-second decisions absolutely mean everything in terms of points when everybody is so evenly matched. JMW going down, Matey going down. Now only Graceful is alive here. Redragon's holding that down to perfection. Maestro Gaming coming in with the 3rd party. This is getting crazy here, Mark.
Kongarna eliminated. A great hold here from Redragon, but can they hold off the 3rd party with so many teams living next to each other at the moment? It doesn't look like they'll be able to. Hisfu gets out for now and manages to survive for just a few seconds. Once again, Wraith showing that she has that ability to jump into the void just to get out of dodge. Believer has a Kraber in the feed as well. He's been doing a lot of damage. 4 gang now. We've seen them pick up kills right at the start of the game. The question is, can they survive now in the end game?
They're going to have to deal with thermites, missile barrages, missile swarms, whatever you want to call them. You're going to have defensive bombardments landing on top of that as well. 789 on the bottom of the Big Mod. They're still going to be safe just by a sliver. You can see, will they push out or will they not? They're picking up a lot of kills along the way. It's been a phenomenal game for them so far, but 4 gang, they're living just barely on the edge over here. They have the fence over there if they want to use that for cover, which could be very useful for this final zone. They could be extremely low-key, but right now they want to keep a presence and they want to add pressure and filter other players and teams into one another.
There's a fight breaking out on our left-hand side of the screen. As you can see, that 69 IQ right in the middle as well. And 789 now involved in a fight. 789 taking a lot of damage. Believer really doing what he can. He's only got around 10-15 HP, but manages to get the barrier off. Got to be careful of that frag grenade coming through as well. Manages to survive that. Gonna go for the Phoenix kit. You get the feeling that maybe there isn't going to be the first aid kit to work with for now, as he has to take the extra seconds to get those meds up, to get the HP up. But the Spitfire now in the hands of Top Dogs. We've seen them popping up in the feed, Tom, and they're in a pretty good position just to overlook all of the carnage that's going in front of them.
The question is, when do you time your crypto EMP here? You are going to be the only crypto and the only EMP in this final circle, which means you're going to be able to stop all these bubbles, get rid of caustic traps, etc., and then you're going to be able to lay down a fat defensive bombardment on the other side. I cannot wait to see how this last zone pulls, but major pushers, you got to give credit to them. Yes, they aren't picking up a ton of kills right now, but they got from a bad position, one of the only teams from Geyser to make it back on over here safely, with all 3 members from Big Mod.
Really, really impressive rotation from them, and they're doing damage on to 4 gang as well. You saw the missile swarm got 2 cracks of shields, but 4 gang survive for now. However, for Roy up, it might be down pretty soon. Legit Lolly will fall first here for 4 gang. Now it's just Phoenix and Roy up. to try and survive for as long as possible. 5 squads now remaining, and it's looking very, very messy around this trailer in the middle. 789 sense their move now to move in. They'll pick up 1 knock. 4 squads now remaining, as that will be 4 gang eliminated here, Tom. Can they get the shield swaps in time? It looks like they will be able to momentarily reset hit 789.
The momentum is all in 789's favor right now. They've been doing so much with so little, and they just continue to add kill after kill, pressure after pressure. While their teams are playing passive, they are getting aggressive. You have to love what 789 is bringing to the table in game number 2.
Arcstar, though, that could have been the difference maker, as Desu's going to try and stick this res as the bubble does go down, instead deciding to try and hold as she moves forward now. She'll be cut down on the cross, though, down to about 10 HP, as Dungeon Masters see all of this going down, as Desu will be eliminated from the game, as they now make their move in towards these final kills. 3 kills remaining, but here is the EMP you were talking about, Tom. That's going to slow everything down. Dungeon Masters, one of the last 2 teams alive now. Xen's going to move in. He'll pick up 1. Ruabe, though, from Top Dogs is on the other side of things, and now it all falls down to Xen's. It's a 1v1 here. He's only got 10 HP to work with. He gets the crack. Can he get the reload? The shield swap isn't there. Oh my god! Oh! He managed.
Are you kidding me?
10 HP.
Was that 10 HP or was that 1 HP? Your number 3 team overall in the standings, coming through with the big dub in game number 2. What a game.
Exceptional from Xens. That is mind-blowing. I got my head in my hands. It's only the first game we've casted. It's only the second game of the day, Tom. That's the kind of end-game clutch we want to see coming in all day long. But, wow, what a performance. That was unbelievable.
That was such a crazy game. From the first time we saw where the zone was, whether that was going to be over towards Geyser or Big Mod, all the way down to the very last shot with just a sliver of HP. DM, you deserve that game.
Absolutely nuts from Dungeon Masters. 9 kills as well for them. 21 points in total. We were mentioning Top Dogs and their kills as well, and rightly so. 20 points for them overall. 11 kills. Same can be said for 7, 8, 9. And there's some of the teams, Tom, that we were saying need to put in some big performances. Well, there is the big performance they needed.
Xens, all you had to do was sneeze on him. Just breathe on him. Whatever it was. That would have took him out. Amazing, amazing performance right there. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. There was a time where I thought 789 was going to go and take this one. Top Dogs was looking really strong. And then DM, out of nowhere, the EVA 8 shots, the punch, the uppercut, the Hadouken, whatever it was. That was just an amazing ending. If you are not excited about Apex, and that doesn't make you want to play, I don't know what else to say. I want to play. Let's drop out of the ship right now.
Let's get on it. And Tom, just to let you know that, you know, the Watson buff, we're just saying that. It's a private joke, everybody. But Xens, you can see him on the right-hand side there playing on Valkyrie, clutching up in the very definition of the term. 5 kills for him, but the most important one, that final one. And to be honest, if you're on the other side of that from Top Dogs, you got to be thinking, man, we got to win that. We got to win that. We can't let that happen.
Yeah, you kind of don't want to watch, right? You hope that something happens there where you're like, all right, I had to reload. I was extremely weak as well. You know, whatever excuse you need. My controller got unplugged. I got alt-tabbed. You know, my stream was lagging and it was lagging me, dropping frames. I think that's a great excuse.
There you go, as deep as possible into what seems like a very extensive excuse back that you've got there, Tom, but we'll leave that one to the side because this is the overall leaderboard. Top Dogs still on top, as you can see, after their second place, but a lot of KP for them means that they will have 39 points in total, with 7, 8, 9 moving up 2 places, as well as Dungeon Masters, if I can speak properly, in 3rd place there, going up 3 points themselves.
And you'd be so surprised that you'd see Scars and Rebel in 19th and 20th. These are 2 really strong teams. I hope that they bounce back. Solo Q Goats as well. On the other side, the team that I had today, Guild Esports, they only have 9 points. I'm expecting big things from them as well. But you have to give credit to Top Dogs, even though they got 2nd place in that game. 39 points after 2 games is no joke.
The CIS teams once again performing here in EMEA. You're looking across the board. You've got 7, 8, 9. You've got Dungeon Masters. You've got Major Pushers, Rugby on Maestro Gaming. I mean, it really has been impressive from them, Tom. And like I mentioned, we kind of said that these teams need to step it up. Well, game 2, they certainly did. But it's time for us to step away for 2 seconds because game 2 is done. Game 3 is just around the corner.
Lenovo Legion. Gaming PCs that are stylish on the outside and savage on the inside. Lenovo Legion is the official PC and monitor of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Mental health and wellness is so important in the world of gaming.
Going to a mental health professional when you're feeling not your best, I can't think of anything better to do.
Mental health and wellness is so important in the world of gaming.
Going to a mental health professional when you're feeling not your best, I can't think of anything better to do.
It is okay to seek for help. You're not weak because you go see a therapist.
Que no pasa nada por pedir ayuda y que los profesionales para algo están.
I promote.
Yo promuevo.
I promote and practice positive mental health.
Welcome back. Game 3 will soon be upon us. So there's been two very explosive Game 2s already. It's an interesting deep run from 789, but when those guys watch the VOD back and see that whiff on 1 HP, things are going to be brutal. But that's all in the past, and we must focus on the future Fallout.
Yeah, absolutely. Going into Game 3, the two teams on top right now, James, we have 789 and Top Dogs, two teams that we identified as teams that had to perform today based on the fact that they're at the bottom of the standings overall in Pro League, and they have shown up so far.
Yeah, it's great to get that confidence in the early games as well. And maybe with those points on the board, maybe there'll be, like, if there's a situation where there's less hesitation, if there's a team in the house and they want to, for example, like dome in and take a fight, maybe they'll be less hesitant than they otherwise would be because they've got that cushion to fall back on from the earlier games. I think that's a great advantage. But
cushion and confidence, you know, the two C's of Apex, apparently.
Cushion absolutely. And looking at the bottom of the overall leaderboard for today, we've got Scars. They have 1 point, and Rebel with a big fat 0. So, you know, in a similar situation, do they risk taking that fight? Do they just leave a team in the house and move on somewhere else and try and play zone because they're lacking points and they can't afford to have any more horrible games? There are big decisions to be made by the teams that we're very expectant of, for sure. And I'm sure they'll, like, the teams that have qualified for this season as well will have less pressure than the big brands. So there are lots of stories that could happen in this third game and the remainder of them as well.
Yeah, that's right. You know, Rebels, I think a big one, right? We talk about them often. Such a dominant team in the history of ALGS, one of the most consistent teams, team to stick together the longest. But it just seems like they haven't necessarily adjusted to meta. So they dropped Lava City. They still play with Bloodhound, I believe, that they've been running for the first 2 weeks of Pro League at least. And you wonder how they're going to adjust, how they're going to adapt. Will they play more aggressive here in Game 3? We'll try and keep an eye on them, see what's not working for them as they drop Lava City. Meanwhile, we'll keep a close eye on Overlook and Scars as well. They've just been getting themselves in some unfortunate fights, getting taken out early, as those are the two teams at the very bottom of the leaderboard. Meanwhile, 789 dropping Fragment East. This time, I believe they're dropping Fragment East uncontested, and that's been the different pick for them. They've been untouched, and they've been able to rotate successfully as we jump on board with Kingarna.
A lightning fast beacon scan to find out where they need to go, and we'll find out soon as well. I don't mind the Hemlock. I know people like a bit of hip fire with the flatline up close, because it absolutely shreds people and can be quite useful. I think it can be, I suppose in comparison, it can be awkward with the burst fire of the Hemlock, but I don't know. I think I like the unusual guns, I suppose I'll use as a description.
As a controller player, I am glad to just spray and pray and melt with that flat line. Meanwhile, the Peacekeeper, as a former Gears Pro, big fan of the Peacekeeper, it gets a nerf coming up, or sorry, a buff coming up in this upcoming season, slight buff, as another developer has actually nerfed it quite a bit after it got replaced in supply crate loot and back onto floor loot. They were a little nervous that the power effect would be too strong and took it a little bit too far. So excited to see the Peacekeeper getting a slight buff, a faster ADS choke charge time. It's going to be, I think, well warranted. I'm excited for that. Meanwhile, Kingarna dropping over in Lava Fissure, and, you know, actually right in this game, in this lobby, there isn't a team that drops Countdown, I believe. So Countdown, a significant POI that's sometimes contested 50-50, is currently untouched. I'm not sure if our observers could show us an overhead view of the map so we could see kind of who's where. But so far, I have not seen any teams dropping in Countdown, which means if Kingarna wants, they can rotate through Countdown, get some continued loot as well.
I find that Dome is often abandoned, as I guess people don't want to get stuck in that corner and they'll feel a bit vulnerable there. But last week we were seeing teams take 3 POIs, including the Dome, in some of the later games. So I think people will get more confident as time goes on. So we shall see some spotting with the longbow, looking for some cheap armor evo, not really making a connection just there. And 4Gang, I'm sure, would like to evo their armor, but legit Lolly's in some trouble. Let's not forget he got a 3K with the PK very early on in the last game, but he's in trouble right now, and I think he'll need his teammate just to give him some space to work with to try and find some Kevlar. That's a nice armor break, and maybe that gives them some space, as legit Lolly has got a lot of healing to do.
Yeah, that was one full charge with the charge rifle that took out and basically evaporated. Almost 0 to 100 on legit Lolly. That's what happens when you only have great shield. So he'll look to upgrade his shield potentially. Meanwhile, 4Gang, who drops Climatizer, likely fighting against Rats, who drops Epicenter. This is a 3v3 that I wanted and I had a close eye on coming into this series, because we know those are the only 2 teams dropping on that north side of the map. Obviously, Scars and Overlook, but again, depending on the zone's going to be pulling south yet again, this time towards Harvester. Scars is going to be rotating early, so that leaves a 3v3 on 2 teams that like to play Edge. Meanwhile, Nemesis find themselves early rotating over to Harvester and finding themselves in a fight.
It's lucky that Valk was able to just like, whoops, nope, just quick 180 before she slid too far down the ramp to the point of no return. Let's go here. Especially versus a Rampage. We saw some nice late peaks with the Rampage in the previous game, and that's before a thermite grenade gets involved. I think, you know, it's taken a while for people to warm up to this weapon, but in the right hands, it can certainly shred.
Meanwhile, we find ourselves back with 4Gang over towards Epicenter, fighting against Rats in this 3v3. Will they decide to take it or just rotate? Last time 4Gang decided to avoid the 3v3 against Solo Q Goats. It might have been because they were fighting against Solo Q Goats. They saw that Bangalore and they said, let's run. As this time they might actually take this fight instead. Meanwhile, we saw Team ZMB and Co-Nemesis actually rotate from Tree to Harvester early. See some charge rifle shots coming through initially on 4Gang. Rowie Up is going to get tagged up a bit. And these 2 teams just continue to have the standoff.
I was interested to see where that grenade would land in the direction of 4Gang, but not quite. I think you can get some nice angles with the barrels where you can't quite see them when you're ziplining into that position, which can be quite fun, but I can't imagine a team's going to be wild enough to try and push 4Gang's position just now.
take a look at 4Gang in this 3v3 again. Been kind of an awkward fight. No team wants to necessarily make a move. Neither team has a team composition where they could just fly at the other. So with this Caustic, they'll continue to play this a little slow. I'd love to actually jump into the comms of 4Gang, see what's on their mind as they either decide to fight or flight.
Not teleporting at all. Blue armor here, Jordan. Oh, we don't have to worry, like the zone is far away. Just get looted.
Yeah, we need to craft 2 now.
We can. We can go survey. Craft. We all have blue backpacks, right? Yeah.
Level 2.
I'm ready to go survey if you guys are.
You want my longbow, by the way?
Yeah.
Nah.
Drop chip, you have 6x on it.
Where is it? I'm dropping Alpha. 2 stacks of energy.
Do we craft survey now?
Yeah, you just have to be careful, like, so that you guys doing something weird, but...
I kinda wanna craft my armor. I don't wanna reset it, I only have 4.
I just dropped some 2,000 middle.
And the decision from the other team, it was Rats, was to flight, was to early rotate over to Harvester, and as a result, that means 4Gang has all of this north side of the map to loot. They decided to actually rotate all the way to survey, craft, continue to get loot, obviously, which was good because Legit Lolly just got his first blue shield here, James.
Yeah, and that will be a source of comfort because with white armor, you're squishy like one of those balls in bubble tea. You don't want to be stuck between somebody else's teeth, as he was there. Lucky to get away with that one, especially with a charge rifle on the prowl. We've seen plenty of early kills already, but for now we still have 20 squads left, so nobody's going to get upset very early on. But we can see that Solo Q Goats have a fight on the inside. They've got no Caustic, but maybe they can do something here.
Yeah, that's right. This is a fight over in Landslide, right? Former train yard. This is the exact rotation spot that Solo Q Goats likes to take all the way from Skyhook and Trials where they drop. But it's always an interesting choke, and sometimes teams decide to hold that choke. Not sure who that light blue team is in front of them, but they find themselves in a 3v3. But they have to be careful as well, because I did see a team in yellow over in Countdown. So they might get flanked by, I think it's Plushka and co. over at Countdown momentarily. They might have to take this fight sooner than they realize.
Yeah, this is not the place where you want to get stuck. They see there is a Caustic barrel ahead of them as well, but they'll be very conscious of their 6, and they start to back away a little bit. See some energy weapons being fired their way. I love a devotion with the turbocharger. It's one of my favorite weapons, but I feel like it's all too rare to find a turbocharger when you really want one sometimes. But some dogs are going to be content in their position at the moment. They'll dare somebody to push them when they've got a Caustic in the hole, and Solo Q Goats have indeed more fighting to do. Got plenty of ults being deployed and smoke to create some space as well. I hear some cracking, and maybe that's a go command. See if they can try and finish off one of these players at the very least. Defensive bombardment is here, but I think, did he get down? Indeed he did. Diff needs to heal up quickly. He has got the gold armor, which is certainly going to help him get those 2 bars up. Another crack now. We got glass being smashed all over the place.
The tracking from Zippish, the Irishman. Nice job. Good shots from him on the flatline long range. He's going to absolutely melt. The nades are going to land. Kobe! Zippish is on fire right now. Cannot miss. With grenades, with the flatline, with anything. And this is the type of fight that Solo Q Goats favors with this aggressive pick coming through with Octane on Diff Q.
That was a swish with that second grenade. And we can see Phoenix Legacy are in all kinds of trouble. Mr. Arthur begging for mercy, but I don't think he's going to find any as Diff is on the way now to finish off the job. And that will leave one more player scarpering away. I don't know if he reaches these banners, especially with a full squad behind him, looking for even more KP. This is the kind of start you want to see from Solo Q Goats on the cusp of eliminating the first team. We'll see if they find that last player. In the meantime, 4Gang in that big orange ring, that ring of fire, rotating through. This is something we've seen from that Solo Q Goats have had to do in the previous rounds, but it's 4Gang who's got to try and heal up afterwards now. Not an ideal situation for them, and you don't know what awaits you once you get back into the zone.
And this is an intentional decision here. Don't think that 4Gang is necessarily struggling yet. We'll see as they rotate into ring. We'll see how things fare. But they're intentionally doing this. They said, let's go survey camp. It's the first ring. We're not going to take a ton of damage. Let's craft. Let's get some materials. Let's take our time. They're chilling right now, even though it might not seem like it.
With 20 squads up, when you're the only man alive for your team, I think Rats is definitely going to be the word in that regard. But man, What do? Do you play Edge, like the worst parts of it, and just hope? Something actually going to NA for a moment. I want to say Cloud9 was saying that there were so many Val cults that it was very easy for them to just rotate along the ground and kill teams as they went along. So perhaps in this current Val cult meta, there'll be more space to rat towards the edge. We shall have to wait and see. And Solo Q Goats see more opportunity ahead of them. Stiff goes to have a look and see what he can do, forcing the rats back into the zone. And this is the kind of pain I'm talking about. You don't know what awaits you when you come back through.
Yeah, now this is pain for rats. Solo Q Goats hunting right now. Like a couple of rat exterminators in New York City trying to fight. They find themselves a 3v3 opportunity and a very weakened and damaged rats team. But I'm not sure Solo Q Goats recognizes they have to be a little bit cautious here because we do know that 4Gang is nearby on their late rotation. They're probably healed up now. And Solo Q Goats sometimes just tries to take a little bit too much of a fight, likes to play aggressive, and this might cost them.
Yeah, and I can imagine the double gold armor will certainly help them because it's so much easier to heal up in the zone with those syringes and single cells. Another crack, and even more than that, Shiv is farming these guys, but he's got to heal up soon. His health is getting lower and lower, but he's got to fight to the end there. Maybe he need a rest from his teammate. Going for the bat first. There we go. The syringe has to be prioritized. And Shiv, we're used to seeing that on his stream. He will be the kill leader for the time being, and that will be a warning to the rest of the lobby.
Insane showing from Solo Q Goats in the ring, taking damage, gets damaged first, yet still wins the fight, and the perfect revive sequence coming through as well. Shiv healing up with that gold armor shield. What a perfect play right there from Solo Q Goats. They are heating up, James.
Absolutely. Fighting a team with double gold in the zone is an utter nightmare. You're going to be at a significant disadvantage no matter what is happening. Got to really focus on those kills. You can see 4Gang now. They've posted up, just having a look around, see what's going on. Got the sneaky barrels for a little cover and for some cheeky rotations as well on the corners, trying to catch people unawares. So we've lost our first team, and again, let's not forget we have a rat from a second team who are very close to going down as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. Quick heal from Legit Lolly. This man's been losing a lot of shields so far in this game.
Yeah, and what's interesting here is 4Gang was one of the last teams to rotate. They took their time going survey camp, yet they find themselves in one of the best positions in this ring. Now, it depends what this ring is going to pull. And obviously, this trailer is a little bit risky on tracks because you are kind of open to any teams Valcolting in. But they find themselves in a pretty good spot here, so it goes to show you don't have to always be an early rotate team or be the first to rotate to find success. 4Gang proving otherwise.
Yeah, there's a lot of open area in this next ring as well. And I feel like there haven't been that many places to hide in the games we've seen so far, and this may be another one. And that may be to the advantage of Shiv with an ult like Bangalore's if they can last that long. There are still 18 squads up, so we're talking a while yet. But there's always a certain part where the ring gets to a certain size, and then you lose like 5 teams in 60 seconds or something. So that'll be quite interesting. But they seem to have some comfort playing around these rocks, some ducking and diving, some darting. And some smokes to create some space as well.
Did you just add a 5th D to the 4Ds? Darting? I like it.
Yeah, I think I may have.
It's the 5Ds now. English, British version. I'm a fan. As we jump on board with Scars, finally finding a game where they survive more than 5 to 7 minutes. Unfortunate games 1 and 2 for them. Looking to bounce back in game number 3 here is Mandy, and it looks like he's just going to let her rip. With the defensive bombardment, they're going to try and use that as an opportunity to regain high ground. This is a power and a power position, and that defensive bombardment is going to be perfectly placed. So much damage done. Now the question is, can and will they capitalize? Because if they try, they're going to get third party here.
Yeah, it's a long road from where they are. Dome goes up now as they'll have to heal. I mean, that may provide some opportunity for somebody else as well. It's some nice prime real estate for the time being around Harvester. But Mandy's chilling, looking for that long range, waiting for that dome to go, and he is going to compromise where they can hide as his team looks to push. Taishin with the L-Star now looking to drill these guys, and that's 1 down and 2 more to go. Looking to finish off the job there. He's broken the shield and broken the man as well. Turn him into a box. That 789 getting deleted, but I think they may have 1 more player surviving for now.
There you go. Scars just bullies their way on to one of the best power positions, top Harvester. Meanwhile, Solo Q Goats finds himself in the fight against Gonzalez. That's Young Money Guild as we are on board with Solo Q Goats. Diff Q currently not getting revived, but in a pretty dangerous spot here. Smoke's going to go down for Shiv, buying them some time, but the nades are going to land as well. All 3 alive, but for now, caustic barrels from opponents nearby, and Solo Q Goats have to be careful.
Their inboxes are being filled with hostile emails from teams, all kinds of arc stars coming their way. It's a nice crack from major pushers as they look to rotate around the corner and find some safety indoors. Looking to pop some bats. We go down to 16 squads now as we very quickly lost 2. Fast-moving action around Harvester, and again, that ring is getting into a position where we will start to lose teams very quickly indeed. Major pushers keeping an eye on their surroundings. They know solo queue goats are around. That dome has come and gone, so they've got to be careful now. Very limited area for them to avoid some grenades, but they had so many thrown at them earlier. There may be a shortage, which maybe will give them a little break. But this is a situation that they'll need to deal with, as there are still caustic barrels above them, which is going to be a problem once it's time to rotate.
That's right. Solo queue goats find themselves in another difficult position. This is something they find themselves in often. This team's always uncomfortable and performs in that discomfort. I mean, some teams and some people choose violence. Solo queue goats, they choose violence and stress. I hope their blood pressure is okay, because, geez, that is a stressful way to play. I'm not sure if I could do it, but only these 3 can perform at such a high level at all times of the game, because that's how they have to perform as we switch on over to Scars.
The smallest rock of cover, but they're okay. They're not really being targeted at the moment, just keeping an eye on things, looking at where the teams are and how they'll potentially rotate. Sniper, it's going to make things a little awkward, and Tai Sheen will do his best to avoid. Triple purple. Grape drank colored Scars. They're not in the zone right now, as we can see, and it's quite clear they're discussing where they're looking to go. I think we have a target direction, but how are they going to get there? Because they're being targeted by snipers. 15 squads in this small zone, and when this ring starts to move, we're going to need some body bags.
This is a tough one for Scars. 15 squads left, having to rotate in momentarily. They're just going to be content playing the edge of that ring on the rotate. And with so many teams nearby, James, you hit the nail on the head. It's going to be a difficult one. Snipers probably abundant, as we have a lot of longbow action in recent meta getting nerfed in the upcoming season. Meanwhile, Totem takes out Maestro in the top right of your screen, so Maestro finds himself under pressure. Scars finds himself delivering pressure as they rotate through. L-Star making it look like a sniper.
Yeah, that L-Star just offers absolutely no mercy, but there will be nerfs on the way soon. And for now, you've got to hold that L if you're on the receiving end. Solo queue goats in a more comfortable position now, just trying to find little edge to play with, and they know that the carnage is about to begin. That is not a position you want to be in, with people with such high ground on you. Tai Sheen causing all kinds of problems. Needs to pop a bat though. There is a dome to rescue if he can make it there. Down to half HP. So close to getting eliminated there. In fact, all of Scars needs to pop some bats, but I think they've got a little space, or do they, with which to try and recover? Maybe not. Down goes one of them. Mandy and Tai Sheen still naked at the moment. It's just Mandy now trying to get that bat if he can, and he'll be able to put it off. I don't know if he rescues his team here. Such limited space for them to move with, and Tai Sheen is having some trouble. Goodbye to Tai Sheen. Mandy now on his lonesome. I can't see a res coming anytime soon. That ring getting so small. 15 squads to 11. Quickly lost a number of teams here, and Kangana are just chilling.
Wow, Mandy finding this slight sliver and crevice in the rocks to stay alive for now. You wonder how long Kangana chilling in a good position. Major pushers find themselves in a fight. They're actually going to get a knock on Xander. Nice job from them. CIS team find themselves at least one additional kill point, and sometimes in that rotation right there to kind of break down what happened for Scars, you choose the best possible spot that you have given the circumstance, and it was that rock, but unfortunately they were in the middle of no man's land with 2 teams on each side fighting a 2-front war, and that got them in a really rough spot. Meanwhile, Redragon trying to go for a potential kidnap here, not going to get it.
See de France causing some problems for Guild. Silter's in some trouble. He's been down at the very least. That back comes just in time, and there's going to be some dancing with these TPs to just try and avoid some of this damage which is coming their way, but he's found himself an opportunity around the corner. There goes Matafe, and Silter gets deleted as well.
Yeah, Maestro actually took out 2, and Redragon's going to take out the last. Meanwhile, Garna are winners from game number 1, currently in the top 5, and standings find themselves well positioned here. The port's going to come through from Wraith. That'll be a good use for rotation on that layer portal, but they got to be careful because they were spotted out. Meanwhile, Maestro under duress. Thank goodness for Caustic keeping them alive, but barely, as they find themselves in a decent power position. Have to be careful with so many teams nearby. Gonna pepper the Q from the Valkyrie, and we got ourselves a Kraber in the hands of Hisofu.
This position has been harassed by almost everybody. We've seen multiple defensive bombardments in there. We've got Valkyrie spam as well. Nothing but problems coming. Eva 8 can't get 5 fast enough, and 69 IQ are going to come in there and take over. It looks like major pushers, though, trying to stay alive, but denied.
And Maestro somehow is still alive under the position where they are the chosen ones, and not in the good way. They're being chosen by everyone in the lobby, focused by everyone in the lobby, and still able to handle the pressure. Meanwhile, Kungarna finds themselves down to 1, down to none. They are eliminated, and it's going to be the hands of 4Gang. So 4Gang had to have quite the journey, traverse the entire map of World's Edge to get here, all the way from the north side of the map, and they find themselves in a good position with 5 squads remaining.
Yeah, they've got the caustic barrels up, trying to create as much space for them as they can, like trying to build a little base with which to hide in. They've got caustic, they've got Jibby as well, so they're comfortable for the time being. I don't know how Maestro have any shields left, let alone how they're all still in the game in this position, because the Valk spam keeps on coming. Rugby manages to avoid most of it, and we really have some shot-put caustic barrels getting thrown in their direction as well. Have a look at those.
Track and field on display here. Hey, you never know. We might see caustic in the games, Olympics 2024 or something. Meanwhile, Maestro currently somehow finding themselves able to survive that barrage of missiles and focus. 5 squads left, and it should be it for the pressure. The storm should have passed for them, but there's another storm coming. It's called a late game ring, as we see Future Perfect, Maliwan with caustic. So a couple caustics remain in this late game. We saw a ton of caustic in North America last week. We didn't see a whole lot in EMEA. Looks like EMEA is going to pick up some of that meta.
It's going to be interesting for the Crypto to time using his ult versus ending up in the zone as well. Can be a little awkward. The tracking for Maliwan, though, is pretty good, but can they capitalize on it? We've got players good diving off a board, and that course it gets utterly annihilated. Goodbye to 4Gang.
Yeah, a little bit of a desperate push from 4Gang. They had to try and do something, and that was a whole lot of nothing as they got 5th place. Good job for them overall, though. Got a couple kills in the rotations. We have Redragon. We do have Maestro on the high ground. And then, of course, we have 2 caustic teams remaining. We see a Valkyrie, Gibraltar, and Wraith. Obviously going to save that defensive bombardment for a late game here, and it's going to drop right now. Redragon uses that defensive bombardment to their advantage. Get some good shots in here on Future Perfect. Another CIS team. This is really the CIS finish here. Most of these teams remaining coming from Eastern Europe.
Redragon are in a very good position to win this in the final 3 squads. They have the high ground. The grenade spam starts as well. The Valk just makes it easy. Complete huge target there. They come down from the top now, Redragon. This is their game to win. The Nova spam is coming through, and they'll wipe out all the remaining teams. They had the strongest position once that zone came in, and they capitalized on it.
Great finish right there from Redragon. Had the God spot, had the high ground, and had the zone pull. That's ultimately what made the difference. The fact that the zone was actually pulling towards them in that late game. They capitalized, and they used that as an opportunity to take a 1st place finish. I believe Maestro got 2nd, Future Perfect in 3rd or 4th overall in the standings there, and a textbook finish from Redragon.
Yeah, they just had the strongest position there up top, allow everybody to just focus on each other. And again, credit to Maestro for staying alive up on the top of the roof for that long, because they were harassed forever in that game. 12 kills for Redragon. That is a fantastic result for them.
Massive performance for them. They are going to take a significant leap in the overall standings. They were in 15th with 2 points. That'll put them at 26 points, which might just put them in the top 3. Kungarna only gets 5. They were in 1st. So interesting stuff here. Sorry, they were in 3rd. Interesting stuff here coming from them. Meanwhile, Reply Totem needed a big game. They get it. Maestro with an 11-point game as well.
Yeah, and we can see Scars have at least made it into the top half of the board. They've got to 9th place. They take 4 points from that, with 2 kills, but Rebel will still be looking for a better performance, as we don't see them in the top 10 for this game. But we're halfway through the day, so they're running out of games to try and get that big result. But as for Redragon, position is a wonderful thing. They had it, they exploited it, and they took the kill there. A nice spread across the team, 5-5 and 2. So that they will be very, very happy with that result for sure.
Yeah, and I love that Gibraltar play from Kerry Rubik. That is textbook, right? 1,500 damage, nearly 2 kills, putting in the damage and playing the utility kind of support role that you typically see that Gibraltar play. Meanwhile, you had Wraith, you had Valkyrie, PKMK, and Hisofu clean up 5 kills apiece, totaling 10 for them, 12 total, and concluding Kerry Rubik. Nasty stats coming from this trio.
Yeah, an interesting composition as well, the Valk and the Wraith. Not the combo that we always see, but it's nice to see different compositions. No caustic, we saw barrels everywhere outside, posted up around rocks and so on, but they chose elevation, and it paid off for them. Dropping with the Eva 8s, I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of that. And I don't think anybody else did in the lobby, but they imposed their will when it mattered. They had the grenades for the late game as well, the arc stars coming through. I don't know what Valk that was trying to avoid the bombardment, but there was absolutely nowhere to go on that low ground. So just flying targets. But that caustic as well, I'm not sure, I think it was 4-gang, that caustic was almost like in track and field when you just dive on the finish, just try and make it in before everybody else, but in all the worst ways, unfortunately for them.
That's right, as we are also going to welcome back Kate as we jump into our mid-game desk segment. Kate, 3 games in, what are you seeing so far?
Well, I'm glad that you asked about the 3 games, particularly because there's one team comp that has come out again and again and again. We saw it last weekend in our NA, certainly in our EMEA, and we see it this weekend as well, which is got to be that Valk, that Gibby, that Wraith. I'm curious, what some of those impactful cryptos that we've been seeing in those caustic late games, the gas there. I'm curious, Fallout, let's start with you. Is there any reason to change from this team comp? It's clearly working. And we're seeing some of the evidence of that.
Yeah, you know, it's this Valkyrie Wraith comp is working, but at the same time, we've seen a few different comps actually end up on top, and that's what I love about the current meta as it stands. There's not just one powerful composition. As we take a look at the highlights here, you'll see that. So much diversity in team comps, and we say it often, it just seems to get better and better. The current meta of Apex Legends has never been healthier in terms of legends and diversity of legends, and we've seen that come true throughout. And I gotta say, Respawn's getting it right. The balancing, the changes that we see coming. We have some Watson changes coming. Might actually potentially reintroduce Watson into the competitive swing of things. I love the meta as it currently stands.
Oh man, and James, I gotta say, I mean, you guys have been casting game after game, seeing these team comps, seeing these legends absolutely pop off, and especially we're looking at a lot of stinky caustics here. Talk to me about right off the top here for EMEA for games 1, 3.
I think the word rather is aroma, actually, not stinky caustic. I love me some caustic, but we have great flavor in the compositions. You know, we're obviously Valk was a great pickup for many teams early on. It's not suitable for every team though, and we've seen the polar opposites there with Valk as well. We saw the early Valk rotation from a team to get deleted immediately. In game 2, we saw them drop into a building and just take it brazenly, which was very entertaining to watch. But we've seen more Octanes come through again. We've seen more of the Wraith, so I think we saw early interest for Valk, but we're seeing a better spread now as people realize that their own style is important and how they like to play. So we're seeing more pads, more portals, and you know, there's plenty of different ways to play. I think the domes are still pretty important, but we can see that you don't necessarily need to have a caustic on your team to find a first place here in ALGS.
That is a really good way to put it. I love that, absolutely. I think there's also, I want to real quick quote James from this last game from Taishin from Scars with the All-Star. Broken the shield and broken the mat as well. James, some great stuff here in game number 3 of 6, as we know here on EMEA. Fallout, let's break down a little bit of this team in particular who has the hearts of so many fans around the world.
Oh, absolutely. The most aggressive team in EMEA, the team composition that no one else in all of competitive Apex plays. Of course, with Bangalore and Octane on one team, and it shows in their playstyle. They play that playstyle so well. You know, if more points were awarded for kills, I think you'd see this team consistently in the top of leaderboards, because it's just such a high-risk, high-reward play. When you're taking so many fights, it's obviously a lot more difficult percentage-wise and statistically to make it to late game. But this team shredded, melted, did everything they did that they could, but ultimately got taken out over towards Harvester on a tough rotation.
Yeah, speaking of tough rotations, James, I want to real quick ask you. So we've seen some interesting zone pulls today, certainly, and we've also seen, as we saw at solo queue, a rotation that they know and love most notably. But I want to ask you, if you had your choice, this is my question of the day. If you had your choice, nobody to contest, your first choice, drop. Where are you going in this lobby?
Okay, I quite like Countdown. I normally like to drop in Countdown, but you know, for the fun factor, I don't mind some big mords. There's I like getting I like the shiny things, you know. I like the paintball guns and things like that. But for me, I'd like to drop in Countdown. I think there's some space to play with there. If people are trying to contest you, you know, there are different ways to approach it. So for me, it's Countdown. But shout outs to Bangalore, shout outs to Shiv. I brought my little Bangalore today. I didn't forget it. Hey! So, it's joining me here on the broadcast.
And Fallout, as we take a look at the leaderboard, talk to me, same question. Tell me your answer.
Yeah, I'm more of a Lava Siphon Harvester central map, so you get easy rotations. And it seems like every zone is pulling south, at least so far in the Pro League. So you're going to find yourself favorable zone positions and drop in there as we also do take a look at the leaderboard. It's going to be Top Dogs in first, holding on to that first place spot. Redragon skyrockets 9 places to second overall. So we got the Finnish folks in first. We got the CIS team in second, Kungarna, mostly UK, in third, and 789 in fourth place, with Dungeon Masters rounding it out. I gotta say, CIS on top right now.
Yes, they are. They are on top in commanding fashion, to be sure. Any surprises from that leaderboard there, James, that you want to call out here right before we head over to our next game?
Just want to say, in regards to Finnish teams across esports, they always say Winland when they're doing well. I don't know what they say when they're doing badly, but we can take the Winland for the time being.
I like that a lot. Any last thoughts here, John, before we head over into our next game? Again, we're only 3 games in here, gang. Things can change, and they often do in games 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, they could. You know, my only thoughts are Scars, Guild, Rebel. Where are you at? Wake up. I want to see these teams pop off here in games 4 through 6. And like you said, we have 3 games. The standings can be shaken up quite a bit. Something tells me we might see some of these teams pop off here and show up in these last games.
Cool. Excellent. Well, let's take a look and make sure that you all are following along with all of our journeys here on social. And that means head on over to Twitter at @PlayApexEsports. Esports. They're doing an incredible job on that tag. They're awesome over there. And of course, we are on the YouTubes at @PlayApexEsports Esports and Twitch at @PlayApex. We're everywhere you want to be. And isn't that the best thing ever? So, gents, at this point, we are heading off to a quick break. But don't you worry. We'll be right back with game number 4. This is the ALGS Pro League.
PGL is the official broadcast partner of the Apex Legends Global Series NA and EMEA Pro League.
Well, the warmest of welcomes back, everybody. Game 3 done and dusted. The halftime oranges have been consumed here in the ALGS Pro League for EMEA, and it is time to get into game number 4 here, the second half of action of the day, Tom. And looking across the leaderboards, looking at our winners, one thing that stands out to me that we've mentioned quite a lot is the power of the CIS teams in this lobby. And over recent weeks, they've been playing incredibly well, arguably to a level that we haven't seen before.
It's nice to see, and it's also really interesting to see these southern zones that are just continuing to happen over and over again. So it really leaves a tough spot for the teams that are landing over towards the northern side, especially if you're not playing Valkyrie. You're going to have to fight your way going through. One of those teams that comes to mind, again, is Solo Q Goats. You still have Congarna, who came in first place in game number 1. They're a Lava Fisher team, too. So I want to see something a little bit different, maybe a zone bounce up over towards the north-hand side, maybe something a little bit more central.
I agree with you. I think when Kate asked the question on the desk, where would you like to land? I was like, if I'm playing in ALGS lobbies, anywhere south at the moment, to be honest with you, just to give ourselves a little bit of an easier chance to get to that zone. But I agree with you. I'd like to see us move towards the north a little bit more. It has been tough, those first 3 games, but as we say, only the halfway stage here. So we do have 3 games still remaining and a chance for teams to pick up points. One team I want to focus on a little bit here, Tom, as we jump into game 4 now, is Scars, because I put them in my predictions and they're making me look a little bit silly at the moment because they're really struggling in these first 3 games.
It's just an unpredictable lobby. EMEA is so tough to predict. I would say more so than North America, just because, again, the amount of skill that you have all the way across the board. Everyone seems to be so evenly matched. There's so many different play styles that come into it. There's a lot of aggressive play. There's a lot of teams that are setting up immediately and getting into zones, and fights are being taken, quickly. There's not really any time to go and wait because you know that the third parties are coming, and they're happening basically immediately.
I think the reason that Scars maybe aren't doing as well is because I claimed that I had a better wingman than RPR. He called me out on it as well, and he said, come on, dude, like, if you're going to predict us now, then I'll make you pay for it. But Scars is who we're going to focus on to start with. This is who we're going to be following the story of as well. They're going to have a beacon over here at Overlook as well, so we will get that zone information almost immediately, and I'm sure that every single member of Scars right now has their fingers crossed for something a little bit easier for them to work with, because, you know, zones haven't been too bad for them, and hey, look at that. You can see the edge of it here. It's going to be perfect for them, Tom. We're heading over to probably Epicenter, pulling away from Fragment. That high ground could be vital outside of Epicenter.
See, this is going to be interesting to see this type of zone, because you could maybe bank on the trailers that are below Overlook, kind of over towards the train tracks. You could bank more over towards the Epicenter, leading over towards the Fragment side. Heck, it may even bounce over towards Fragment as we take a look at one of our teams that's on the Skyhook side that's going to have a decent and far rotation. Exons, who really popped off in game number 2. I'm looking forward to see what Exons is going to be able to do with this gold armor. Doesn't have the EVA 8 here, but the Mastiff will do for now.
Yeah, it's going to do for now, as you say, but my word, that was one of the plays, I think, of Pro League so far in both regions. The 1v1 clutch from Exons with only a hope and a prayer, to be honest with you, but he hit the big shots, including one of those right hooks, which does a lot more damage than people expect sometimes. Well, 789, they'll be playing Loba, and they'll be looting up as well. They're dropping here Frag East, and they're going to be pretty comfortable with things, speeding up their loot rotation as well, being able to use this black market. But as far as a rotation is concerned, as we mentioned, we're going to be pretty close to where they are landing, so they're going to be pretty comfortable for now.
Redragon, love how they play. One of the teams that gets into the center zone and holds off teams very well. Double purple armor is coming in, and a gray armor for JMW on the Congarna side. They have a decent rotation as well. I'm excited to see where this zone's going to pull and where these teams are going to set up again. If you're over towards the Fragment side, like 789, do you still stay over towards Fragment, or are you possibly thinking this is going to go over towards Overlook? We've seen zones that look similar, and then they'll surprise you. One of the ones that come to mind is game number 2, when all the teams favored Geyser and it pulls over towards Big Mod. One of the teams that made a really great rotation was Congarna, coming in over towards the backside, and another team, Major Pushers. I love how they Valkyrie redeployed and pushed in. And now Congarna looking pretty solid here. And they are so smart in the way that they rotate.
Well, we'll see what the comms are like with Congarna now. We were lucky enough to see the comms last time they were making a rotation. Let's see if things have changed here in game number 4.
If 3-story is also taken, we go up towards the mountain between here, okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, wait for Jay.
He's so far back.
So we have 3 plants ahead now. 3-story is second plan, mountain is third.
Team in countdown as well, looking at us.
We need to hold them.
TB40.
Can I run to you?
I'm not sure if you can. We need to do it behind this rock ASAP, man.
Come. Do you know? Oh, you got heal up.
Okay.
Look for green.
Huh.
I think this might be free right now.
I'm still dropping here.
Looks free. Walk up together with shotguns out.
That's true.
Nothing air free. Good job.
We should get the next building as well.
Yes, I think I'm TPing for it. I don't know if they're riding or not. I think that team is in train station right now. Let me check before you guys come. No one, second floor. 30. Come here, clear.
Oh, I just TP'd.
Well, 2 rotations and 2 listenings from Kangana. Tom, what are you taking away from that one?
I love the safety that they had and all of the precautions that they took in order to get out of that spot, right? And say, hey, let's go check this building here. Not only that, I'm going to portal all the way over here, walk up with the shotguns out. All the little things that could catch you off guard, they were looking for. And you have to take it seriously. You cannot pretend like this is some sort of matchmaking game where people are just playing lackadaisical. This is the highest level of Apex. It's the global series, and every team is so stinking good in here. You have to take those precautions.
100%. And as we know, when you get to fragment and you get those kind of areas, those POIs involved in circles, then you know teams are going to be stacked up. And if you are Kangana and you're one of the later rotating teams as far as distance to travel is concerned, you have to take those precautions. You have to check every corner like you mentioned, and every single little bit of safety that you can put on your team's back, and you can make sure that you're doing you need to do. Well, Guild at the moment, they're kind of doing a little bit of a, we'll call it a scenic walk here, Tom, because they are nowhere near zone. They're taking their time, they're playing edge, but they're gonna have to make a move soon because the zone is closing behind them.
They're gonna scan and hit the beacon and then maybe even do it again so they can get round 3 information and then make another Valkyrie redeploy. And with the same composition that we saw before, you have double options to rotate. You can hit that Valkyrie redeploy, then you can portal in somewhere if you need to. You have the get out of jail free card with the bubble, as well as we see what solo queue goats are doing. I think that they're on the scenic route as well here with whether it's a walk or whether it's a double time from Bangalore and Shiv. It's definitely gonna be a while. So get your snacks out if you're on the solo queue goats, but you don't have time to really snack because there are teams on the edge as well.
Well, we get to see both sides of World's Edge. We saw Kangana taking the southern side of Fragment East, and now we're seeing a very northern rotation. This is about as north as you can possibly get on the map here for solo queue goats. There's a couple of shots are going to go down from Diff Q as he spotted someone out in the distance there, just holding that rock structure, and it looks like they might be moving down towards survey camp a little bit. And hey, you want to see a bit of double time, double stepping? Well, Shiv's got you.
The question is, do you take this fight, right? You have to come out of this area thinking, all right, well, we don't have that much information. We're kind of new coming out of this area. This other team's been sitting here for a while. They're gatekeeping us. Unless you have valuable information, then you can't go and take this fight. Otherwise, you're going to get third-partied. And that's what solo queues have kind of fell victim to, because they play edge so much that when it comes down to that first fight, they end up getting third-partied almost immediately, whether they win that fight or not. And that's what worries me about the solo queue goats. And the way that they approach this is, yes, playing edge is extremely tough, but there's a lot of other teams that are just waiting and waiting for solo queue goats to push through.
One thing that always stands out to me as well is they don't have a beacon character, so they're never going to have that information. But for now, it looks like they're involved in a fight, and we have the opportunity to jump into the listening. Let's see how these three comment together to see if they can win this fight.
Okay.
On the roof.
We can go up and start fucking with icicles. Question is if we're gonna get shot in the back too much. They took beacon.
Don't hit people behind us. Be careful. I might have hurt people over here.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what I heard. Maybe it was like.
I'll check it.
Fuck.
I don't think so.
Okay. They Valkyrie.
They Valkyrie. That's good. That's good. That means we can walk up here without getting shot at constantly. Come,
yeah.
come.
I'm moving with you.
I'm moving over here to get some more info. We can start fucking with the... We have both our ults, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my ult.
We can start fucking with the height. They probably just went there early, you know, and have dog shit armor and shit. We need to LOS that side, though. Like, come on my side.
Okay. You want me to ult first or use it?
No, do not. We're gonna shoot before we do any ults.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Come
and if anyone's ulting against me, Shiv, you're saving
Yeah, okay.
Here.
Okay.
Walk up, run up. LOS that side. LOS
On the other side?
You see the give me a beer?
Yeah.
See this crypto? 3, 2.
I can't see him at all.
Wait.
He's gone
He's
forward.
just dropped. I'm
just
moving
run up. Run fucking up. Fuck it. Run between the canisters.
You can see the difference in play styles just from the comms here, Tom. One listening, we have a Kangana talking about finding a spot to play from, and this is all about finding someone to fight here for Solo Q Goats.
That's what they do, right? They're like, all right, here's this crypto. I don't see him. Well, I'm still shooting him. No, he didn't actually shoot him, but I love that. Solo Q Goats, once they start to get rolling, Mark, I think that that's just a slow start for them, right? If they actually start getting kills, getting confidence under their belt, and they start getting momentum. We hear about momentum in Apex and just sports and esports in general. Solo Q Goats doesn't have a lot of momentum right now. If they can start getting that energy going, they are going to be one of the scariest teams that we have. So I'm looking forward to that one big pop-off game that gets them fired up.
And Kari Ubik is going to pop ahead there, and he's going to get his Evo shield leveled up as well to purple. Redragon, who we saw in game number 3, our previous game, they're going to be in a pretty safe spot here, just playing around these pills, overlooking some of the action that's going down around them as well. And with Kari Rubik with the longbow in his hand, Tom, his one job here is to just get the damage down, get those Evo shields leveled up. And speaking of which, it looks like he's going to drop the purple off to a teammate. PKMK is going to say, here's a blue, a change of t-shirt for you. Level that one up so we can match in purple.
Hopefully you put some deodorant on before they switch shirts.
Always.
Right there. You never really know.
Always.
You never really know how long we've been gaming or how long we've been up, okay? It could be an all-nighter for us out here. Going forward with 7, 8, 9. Again, they've been playing phenomenal. They're over towards the frag side. They haven't pushed far off of their spawn. This is where they actually go. They do have that black market if they want to go and use that one. R301 PK in the back pocket. And look at this little bit of a sneaky, cheeky play with this Arc Star.
He wants a stick. You can smell it in the waters here. He's going to maybe think about jumping up onto this air conditioning unit, which is officially what it's called forever now, and see if he can find a little angle through the windows. But for now, his teammates are just looking over his shoulders, making sure if he does take a little bit of fire, they can return it and keep him alive. Does go for that stick. No contact whatsoever, though. So smartly backing up here. And he will have some Arc Stars to play with, I'm sure, with that black market down as well.
Yeah, it's exciting because you can waste your utility there and just go back and continue to pick up more grenades if you wanted to. Charge rifle PK coming in for Desu, and some good shots there as the bubble is going to be forced out by the team sitting up on top of the train tracks. But with the teams filtering over towards the fragment side, I really feel like they're favoring this side of the zone, and I wouldn't blame them. There are a lot of endings out here, but the big question is, where do we get this round number 3 information? Who has the scan on round number 4? It looks like it's going to go away from Frag East and more over towards the northern side.
And that is good news here for Scars Europe, who are going to hit that beacon once more just so they can get that information as well. And that's going to be vital for them and how they try and move. And one thing I do like from the position of Scars Europe playing from Overlook towards this zone, Tom, is you can kind of play out of the way of everyone else, right? You naturally have your back covered. You can move up north without too many teams making a rotation towards that kind of area. And you can kind of, once again, you can kind of just play viewer, right? You can spectate everything that's going, wait for your opportunity to do something, as Taishin times that absolutely perfectly, by the way, as you would expect. And then you can kind of just judge from there how you want to move forward. Let everyone else do the work and you pick up the pieces.
There is the zone. It's the respawn area directly across from Overlook, in between Fragment and Epicenter. This is going to be absolutely wild because when you look at this, there are not a lot of buildings that are in. And look at the amount of teams that are inside Frag East, inside the buildings, that have to make their way from the south down, from the south up to the north. The teams on Frag West are going to be filtering in over towards the Epicenter teams as well. This is going to be a fun zone. Land of the Gibraltars is what I call this one.
Oh, 100%. If you're playing Gibby right now, you're probably just looking to the skies and thinking, we should have picked Gibby. But, you know, yeah, sometimes it happens. As we've seen previously, most teams do have Gibraltar in their lineup. It's pretty much 100% pick, to be honest with you, in all of the teams due to his utility and his kit and the balance that he provides to a lot of teams to be able to give them those rotational aspects to play in the open grounds that we're about to see. But this is what we need to focus on here, Tom, because these teams, these 7 teams or so, I think I counted, who are currently around Frag East, they've all got to move in one direction, and there's only room for 1 or 2 teams to make it through.
Exactly. They're all going to die, is what I just heard. Yeah, that's a little evil laugh, but it's so true. And I can't wait to see which team's going to walk out on top, because this is going to be an absolute bloodbath. 7, 8, 9 predicting the fragment side. All these other teams predicting the fragment side. But now the fighting starts to take place as the zone starts to close. They realize it is on.
Barrel's going in from Slayers on 69 IQ. However, he's trying to escape, and hey, there's going to be a player around that corner. He jumps up. There's another one there. Where do you go, Slayers? Try and play hide and seek. And he finds a corner for now, but it looks like a player might poke round the corner, but that's a teammate, luckily for him. Smeggy Toe, he's going to have to pop a battery for now. They found a little place to play as their teammate Ascenti here tries to do the damage to keep that team from pushing, but 69 IQ, you have to say, in this position, looking pretty weak at this point.
Meanwhile, 4Gang is going to eliminate Guild in your kill feed. 69 IQ trying to stay alive. The Phoenix kit looks like it is going to be popped, and Slayer's going to go for the slow heal med into the battery or the cells, but they're still safe for now. When round 4 starts to show, all the rest of these teams are going to fight, and it's going to be so fun to see who walks out on top. Rebel does have a little bit of an advantage right now in terms of having all of the teams layered on top of each other like a cake, but a lot of these teams are all looking at them and focusing on them. And here it comes, the big pull. Everybody now realizing we are done for if we don't get out of fragment now. Expect some Valkyrie redeploys immediately.
Not surprised to see the first team go down weren't actually in fragment. Now we go back over there, and it's Solo Q Goats. I talked about this high ground and how vital it can be. Well, they are the ultimate gatekeepers at the moment. They have the keys to the door, as all of these teams moving in from fragment are going to be in the line of sight of Zippeth. And here's R301. They can have a real opportunity here, Tom, to pick up a huge amount of KP.
And we saw the switch from game number 3 and game number 4 after game 1 and 2 of Diff playing onto Wraith, going with Octane to add just a little bit more pressures in these fights. And yeah, you still have that same type of rotation that you do from Wraith, so it's exciting to see what Solo Q Ghost is going to be able to do. But like you said, they have the keys to the gate right now, and all of these teams have to go through Solo Q Ghost. Zippeth looks like they want to go and send this one and maybe get a little bit closer for more kill opportunities. This is an insane play, but this is Solo Q's MO.
Yeah, I kind of like this, to be honest with you. Taking a little angle, you know those teams are going to be weak. They've seen the knocks come in, and you know that Shiv has already picked up one. So if you can get in position here to finish off those kills, then you might be able to put some points on the board. The problem is Diff got taken down to pretty much 0 HP in that push, and now they've got to reset, but it should be a pretty risk-free reset for them. They do have the pad to get back up top as well. So I like the idea from Solo Q Ghost, trying to push the opportunity and trying to push the advantage and get those KP.
It's amazing to get that extra KP, but when you look at the squads remaining, there's still 15 squads remaining, and they're not into the next zone. So they still have to win another series of fights to actually do something about it, as we take a look at Maestro and Ron just ratting it out temporarily. DM looking pretty solid overall. Exons again with the phenomenal play, possibly the play of the Pro League from both regions, like you were saying on set. And I can't wait to see what they do here. But Solo Q Goats, will they recognize that Ron is directly below? I don't think so. He put a damper in the plans.
Yeah, don't worry about him right now. He's just warming his feet, warming his hands on that lava below, and he's just going to sneak in behind, but he could cause a real problem to Solo Q Goats. Well, Dungeon Masters are going to take a skyward dive and try and find anywhere, somewhere to play. And it looks like at the moment, there's no room at the inn because all of the rooms are booked, but finally they managed to find somewhere that's discounted and find themselves a bed for the night. They're comfy for now, but as you can see, the bubble immediately down means it's not going to be comfy for long as they're involved in that fight.
Yeah, if that was a hotel, that would definitely be the budget inn right there. I would not want to go and stay there. That's a place where you'd immediately want your money back because of the amount of sound that was coming through, shots everywhere. That is not the place that you want to go and try to rest your head at night. Redragon trying to replace themselves on the current map right now as Solo Q Goats playing the edge now has to live throughout all of this. You have to use a bubble if you're Zippeth, but doesn't have time. There's going to be a player coming around the corner. It's all up to Diff here and Shiv. There goes the shots. Here comes a potential res as Shiv's going to get knocked to the zone. And there it is. Solo Q Goats survived just temporarily, though. And this could be that big breakthrough game that we were hoping for.
Big kills for them so far. 7, 8, 9 were on the prowl around, though. Redragon down on this low ground. A tough spot to play. However, a Kraber can make anything look a little bit easier if you hit one shot, as they have the bubble down and they're going to use that time just to get back to full HP. But after we've seen the lobby really get cut in half here, Tom, just a moment for teams to reset here. A perfect example of that. Dungeon Masters getting Exons back on his feet. Plusher looking good as well, and Lumi just popping that med kit as well to make sure that they're in full form to fight.
This is what I love about competitive Apex. You would look at this zone and say there's no way that there was 10 squads alive. Yes, now there's 9 remaining. But this is what you love to see, all the players just utilizing every single little part of the map whenever they can. Rebel looks like they're going to go down. Nox came in on both sides. Now it's just one more player remaining, and that should be 8 squads when it's all said and done. Great PK shots right there. 101 to the face.
Yeah, you know, when you shoot any gun and 3 numbers pop up, you've hit about good a shot as you possibly can, and that was a perfect example of it. As you say, Rebel eliminated again. Not the best of games for them. 69 IQ, looking all blinged out, dressed in gold across the board, but having to fight their way uphill, Tom, and it's going to be a tough move for them.
Yeah, I'm guessing they're dressing as pimps for Halloween with all that gold. You gotta Slayers though, they're going down. And it looks like they are going to be out after this Loba Q. I mean, hey, you got the armor swaps there, but it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, this isn't looking good, and they're going to get pushed for now, and that will be, no surprise, solo Q Goats moving forward, and 7 kills already in the books for DivQ, as now there's another team above them. You can see DivQ's trying to just find a little cranny to play, and his 2 teammates have managed to escape as well to get meted up for now, but the problem is they've been stunned, and they're taking a little bit of damage, and the zone is moving as well, but it looks like they might just about be safe.
Yeah, it's like when it's raining and you're just trying to stay underneath a little bit of cover so you're just not getting hit, but this time it's costing you your life as Shiv in the solo queue Goats just send it onto 789. The bubble is down, the shots are going down as well, but you saw they took a lot of damage from behind. Now it's a 1 versus 2 here. I don't think Zippet's going to be able to pull this one off. 789 going to go out, solo queue Goats going to go out as well. Figbam gonna love that.
Oh, I tell you what, Estesu is doing some mad work though. She does finally go down. 789 will be eliminated. Figfam with a team who came in and saw that third-party opportunity. Now they'll have these armor swaps. They'll have plenty of loot to work with. And just like that, click your fingers, and we're down to 3 squads.
And 2 of these squads are sitting fairly high on the leaderboard as well. Top Dogs has been consistent today. Redragon has been playing phenomenal as well. They bumped out 9 extra slots from the previous game. So, oh, the bow check coming in too. I'm not sure about that, but you have the Kraber in the backhand. Interesting combo for 145 there with the high ground here. This is all Redragon.
One shot here from PKMK. And it could be RIP for the team down on this low ground. 1 headshot, 1 body shot as they have to rotate. However, chunks the damage, and that one doesn't connect. Now the bubble down. Taking good angles here. Top Dogs as well. They're trying to get some damage. 45 is just going to chip away. But it's not enough. And Top Dogs might be in position here. As you can see, the 2 teams are trying to push each other, I think. But then you say that and Redragon, they also have the opportunity to strike here. Kraber shot to the body will do 145, but that's not enough for the knock.
I love the aggressive Kraber play here. That was total L-star distance, but instead just going for the Kraber, hitting that 145, feeling extremely confident. There's so many armor swaps here on the backhand side for Figbam. They should be A-okay. Meanwhile, the portal play is coming through. This is an absolute psycho play.
TD and the team making it as well. Carry Rubik, he's going to go down, and now it's down to PKMK and Hisafu to try and survive, but surely there's got to be a third party making their way right up now. Figvam, they're going to land from the skies. I just pew pew. Well, you better start doing it, my friend, because the R9 is going to hit. The Eva 8 is going to follow up with the damage as well, and now he's diving into the abyss, but he gets taken down as well, and Semvels is the last player and down to 2.
And all of a sudden, Redragon gets back over towards the high ground, but it's already been taken by Top Dogs. I believe they're already sitting in first place as well. This will continue to add to the total. Game number 4, Top Dogs. It was a messy game. It was an interesting game, but they come out on top.
It was messy, it was interesting, and it was carnage, as we always expect from Apex Legends. But if you're going to call yourself Top Dogs, then you better pick up some first places. And for Ruabe, Mimu, and 0-0, that is exactly what they do in our game number 4, Tom. And it's not the first time today, like you mentioned, we've seen them at the top of the leaderboards.
Ice cold, just like the skin right there. Top Dogs, 18 points overall. And again, consistency at the top of the leaderboard as we see Redragon there as well. 789, they're still going to be in the running when it's all said and done. We've seen them with numerous top 5s already with 4 games.
Really impressive. Again, kills going on board to solo queue Goats, 13 of them for DivQ, Shiv, and Zippeth. 17 points overall due to that big KP game. But Top Dogs, Redragon, Figvam, good third place for them. First time we've really seen them at the top of the leaderboards. But those 2 top teams, Tom, like you mentioned, there's been some real consistency from them in our first 4.
You rarely see so many points with so many different layers of teams right there as we take a look at that overall leaderboard. Top Dogs really putting a hurting on the rest of these teams. Again, it's been consistency for this left-hand side, though. Teams like Scars, teams like Guild, Rebel, we've had these teams and our teams to watch. They did not perform up to their abilities in these first 4 games. I can't wait to see them bounce back in game number 5 and 6. But what a performance from these teams, especially the teams that have 30 points or more. And what a game from Solo Q Goats. Yes, they didn't get that, huge 30-point game that they're really hoping for, but you see the potential there by getting the most kills in the lobby. If they can continue to team fight like that, they are going to be scary for the rest of these teams.
Well, just a reminder of Top Dogs and who won that last game. Of course, it was them, and you can see Mimu, no kills for him. However, they won the game. We'll move away. Let's focus on Ruabe and 0-0. Quite rightly so, as we see the stats from all of them.
6 assists.
I'll give him that. Okay, fair enough. He was hitting the EMPs. Actually, we're shooting his gun as well. Don't worry. I'm not taking... I feel like I'm just kind of like taking a thing on Mimu here, but we're not. 0-0.
I'll defend.
Very impressive from him. 1-3.
Hey, Mimu, I got your back.
I know. Tom's a Mimu fan. I'm a Mimu fan as well. Okay. I'm not trying to throw shade here. All right. It just came out a little bit wrong. Sometimes you throw the sentences out and it doesn't quite work, Tom. All right. Just back me up.
I'll get you. I'll play Crypto, and then you can play Watson next time we play together.
All right, fair enough. Well, in the meantime, while I expect Mimu to be hitting me up on Twitter and throwing some abuse back my way, we're going to go for a break ahead of Game 5, which is coming up just around the corner.
After 4 games, we return for more action. Last game ended in true King of the Hill style. Falling off meant falling off. And who knows what the 5th game will bring us. I am joined by handsome man with the sharpest haircut outside of Kate Yeager's can. Fallout. How you doing?
Yeah, Kate number 1, Tom number 2. I'm a distant 3rd, perhaps, but I gotta say I can't keep up with the beautiful shaved head of you and Onset. But I'm doing well, mate. Fallout here alongside James, and we get ready for game number 5. It's been an interesting story so far in week 3. This is why you love the ALGS Pro League, right? Any week, any teams can pop off, and this time, a bit of a shocker. 7-8-9, top dogs, some teams you wouldn't necessarily have had at the top of your list.
Hey, Redragon almost won 2 games in a row there. They got too much, so apologies for that, but hopefully we will be able to resolve those sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Appreciate the patience, y'all understanding. Feedback has been passed along. We're doing everything possible. I know the team on the back end to get some of that resolved. But most important thing, we have gameplay on screen, and we're excited for game number 5 here. It's going to be hype, as we will see if the same teams remain consistent, or on the flip side, well, some of the fan favorites in Scars and Guild and Tafe and Co., can they bounce back? Can they show up strong in game number 5? That is the question. They just have been struggling. I'm interested to see where the rings are going to pull and what type of late games we're going to have here. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah, and going deep in one game can, especially when you're on the bottom half of the leaderboard, it can make such a dramatic difference. It can literally put you up like even maybe 12 places or something. So they can, these teams towards the end, which we expect to be towards the top, they can dramatically improve their situation, but they are running out of games to do that. Just 2 games remaining in today's EMEA action. So it is time to get your skates on and start making those plays. And again, I feel like it's got to be
Going into game 5, again, we keep highlighting the teams like Guild, like Scars. Guild drops in Thermal Station at the very bottom southwest of the map, and they've had a couple of different difficult zones. I don't think it's necessarily zones that isn't faring well for them. I think it's just a matter of getting caught in some unfair, unfavorable fights on rotation. Scars obviously dropping an Overlook on the far northeast side of the map, and the big story here, and find yourself a solid rotation. 7-8-9, I know, has gotten third party or had forced to fight 50-50 in their early drops in other league weeks. This time they're getting Fragment East entirely to their own, and I think the true version of 7-8-9 is showing up as we jump on board a solo queue Goats, dropping Trials in Skyhook.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Just having a look around. And again, no one's spreading to Dome, as we mentioned before, even in game number 5 just now. And we can see that's a very similar Dome, but it's not with Big Maud. It's going a bit north from that.
interesting. A few open POIs here, and that's what you expect in week 4 of the Pro League, or week 3, sorry, is people are starting to kind of stabilize. People are recognizing which teams like to drop where, and obviously you have these interesting variables, right? Every single week it's different groups playing against different groups, so that means there's kind of different options as to who's going to drop where, and depending what teams are in your group stage or group match for that week, you might have to drop somewhere different. But nonetheless, I think things starting to stabilize, which is why you're not seeing a lot of 50-50s early. You're not seeing a lot of early fights. We'll see 20 squads remain for at least the next few minutes here, unless some teams get caught in rotation.
Yeah, talking with Matafe again earlier this week, he did mention that he wanted to contest Kungana for certain positions in scrims, perhaps towards Lava Siphon. So we'll have to watch from week to week to see if that develops. 69 IQ. They've had some good results in the early weeks here at ALGS. They'll be looking for more. That triple gold from last round not quite working out for them. Not even two-tone, just full gold. Very ostentatious indeed, but didn't really go their way. Maybe they can find a better time of things here in the second last round. We could see Kungana going for a fast rotation now. They're heading towards Landslide, I believe.
Yeah, Kungana dropping Lava Fissure. A pretty far rotation for them. This is a difficult one, and I think we're going to see if we can jump into listening here momentarily with Kungana over, obviously having to rotate from Lava Fissure all the way to Geyser will be difficult to do. I mean, they're going to have teams like Future Perfect who drop Landslide. They're going to have major pushers who drop Harvester. They're going to have our Fragment teams potentially there as well. They're going to fare quite a bit in their journey. Let's go ahead and jump into a listening with Kungana and see how they play it.
Like we always do for green.
Okay.
Yeah.
1x.
I can hold it. I'm ready. You can start it, man. Start it.
Just gotta wait for Jay.
Yeah, no, start it.
I can't even do it there.
If you want to fly immediately. Boom.
Oh my god, you almost hit your head on the fucking metal beam.
Monka
You're
Giga.
so lucky, I swear.
Keep looking for this, look for this. If not, we take this. I don't like the 3-story though, but whichever is free. It looks like both are free right now.
Someone just got shot.
From where? There's teams fighting here right now. Take green then.
Go green. Green.
It's free. I'm looking for kills.
We don't know it's free yet. We're fucking clearing it.
Yeah, but they would have picked up.
It's free.
One team here.
You need a 2x by the way?
No.
I'm good. Can you take 2 cells?
Close range.
Team is hip house.
Someone's flying past.
Did you guys hear?
Yeah, I can take 2 cells. Yes,
Yeah.
we are.
I'm L-star 301.
I have Rampage, Mastiff. No bolt. This guy's getting lit up.
There's a bandit out there.
Up here. Still looking.
There's a clueless bogey out there.
Yeah, and a perfect time to jump into a listening right there with Kungana. You heard a couple things, right? They said, one, take green. What does that mean? Well, this building, given what you see on the wall right there, this is called green over in Fragment. They also said, I'm looking for kills, and that means you're just going to kind of clear out the building, kind of like a SWAT team entering a multi-story building, and then they say, when you drop near the building, you're able to hit that building. You're obviously dropping a little bit more towards high.
Identify how many players, how many teams are nearby. it is quite useful as well.
That's right. Ooh, it looks like he's going to go down here. Not sure which just yet, but the crypto's going to come through and pick up. It's going to be actually Top Dogs. Wow. So Top Dogs on the rotation. That is a big, big loss here for the rest of the lobby. Our first place team down 2. We saw Guild right in the no-name village above Lava Siphon. Nearby, could third party this fight if they want. They switched over to Bloodhound, so they recognize, hey, we're behind in standings. I love the change to Bloodhound to play aggressive. Meanwhile, Mimu finds himself stuck in little pipes here on the tracks and really kind of a no man's land. You got to think Mimu's going to get taken out here momentarily, only down to Gray Shield. Not a lot of HP. Just trying to strong side a little bit to get some health back if possible, but it's looking a little bleak right now for Mimu.
Yeah, I don't see him surviving here. And we spoke about Squishy earlier. He had some really nice aim with the Rampage. He's only 3 hit points away from Blue Evo. I don't think he's going to be rezzing his teammates soon. And that, you know, in a way, it would be a worst case scenario if he were to go down, if he could get a quick res off. But I imagine his teammates will be farmed immediately. And we spoke about being vulnerable to projectiles. I think they were getting wrecked by defensive bombardment. So it may be some regret in how things have gone so far in this game. We'll see if they're able to survive. With 19 squads left, we know they're still alive for the time being.
Yeah, we talked about Guild's rotation all the way from Thermal Station. They decided to go up through Lava Siphon and connect up until no-name POI right above Lava Siphon. Meanwhile, Nemesis and ZMB and Co. switching off of Seer onto Bloodhound as well. So 2 teams, both further down in the standings, going for Bloodhound, wanting to play a little bit more aggressive to get that intel. They had to rotate from Tree, so a very similar kind of max rotation for Nemesis nets them in Fragment West. Meanwhile, Solo Q Goats continuing to do what Solo Q Goats does by playing on the edge of the circle here.
Yeah, Nemesis are a team who came through the pre-season qualifiers, a French team, and a name we haven't mentioned too much recently, but again, I think for some of these teams coming through the qualifiers, it's going to be really hard versus the top dogs, but it's going to be definitely a painful learning process, but we'll keep an eye on them and see if they can get a notable result in some of these games. Just holding position for now, but of course, that ring will get smaller and smaller, and then we'll see if they can deliver when the pressure is high. 789 are just looking at the lay of the land as well. Charge rifle is out, so can get their shields up. We've got the low bar here for the black market, and that certainly helped 789. Well, it helped them to some degree. We saw they had the armor swaps, but I'm not sure who the last player was in the previous game who's looking at all the armor swaps and they were all empty. And then he got deleted almost while we're looking at the floor. It's kind of sad for them, but they're doing okay for now.
Luck of the draw, unfortunately. And not a whole lot's going to come through with that black market just yet. They're going to get some ammo, some weapons, but overall, not a whole lot of teams have died here, and that's where the black market comes into effect, especially late game when there's a lot of death boxes. You can get a lot of shields. You can actually steal some shields. But right now, that black market is just going to net them some more resources.
Yeah, and they can certainly steal all of the available ammo as well. So take all the heavy, drop it on the floor, take all the shotgun ammo, drop it on the floor, take all the light. And depending on how many ults you get in your position, then just take all the bats and everything else. Just to starve the resources. If you can do that late game, it can prove very, very useful. Just to make life hard for everybody else. And, oh, there. Well, 69 IQ will get some cheeky kills, and top dogs have been eliminated now. But we've gone from 19 squads to 16. 69 IQ causing some problems now. As see, Plushka has been bled out, as has Lumi, so they were unable to get any reses up.
Yep. Dungeon Master's out as well. That is big. 2 of our top 3 teams right now eliminated from this lobby. And I like what Kingarna just did right there. They're obviously posting up. They're going to be just kind of camping into this late game as long as they can. But you do have a Wraith. And Wraith obviously gives you the ability to kind of go and play a little bit of a kind of wild card anchor scout type of role. Because you can get out of dodge. You can get out of jail free with Wraith. So you typically will let your Wraith continue to roam. And that roam actually netted them a free kill point. I'm not sure if they saw that individual on top dogs there from the building. Likely not. As I think they were just roaming for recon and got...
Will have a dome, so they have some kind of protection if projectiles come their way, but Rotation will be interesting for sure once it's time for them to move, but that won't be for a while yet. And they'll soon find out where the next ring is. And quite useful for the squad. I think the 3x is way more popular. I don't mind the 4x myself. You see guilds are they're chilling for now. They've got the blast doors to work with, so they can just look through the windows and see what's going on. And there's very occupied houses around them. So we'll see how that situation continues.
Ooh. Bloodhound scan going to give some valuable information for hostiles.
There'll be if that team has a dome, there's a potential for a push there. They think the crypto has dealt with most of the threats once that caustic ult has gone down. We've got some rotation on the way as Kungana seem to be very much in the sky at the moment.
And look at Amaz of Totem. Just the lone person roaming on in, hoping to rat their way to some kill points here. But you're right, Kungana up to the sky, using that second Valkyrie ult for rotation again. But they find themselves on top of a building, but a very visible building, so have to be careful here. Obviously, they have the Gibraltar Dome Shield, which will keep them protected. They're in the next ring. Kungana is able to rotate just barely on the edge of this ring.
Yeah, but they are really being targeted. They're going to have to force their way into somewhere. They're in a lot of trouble now. Major pushes are as well as we see the defensive bombardment come through. See how much time is left on this dome. Getting the bats up for now. The bombardment's finished though, so that'll give them a breath of fresh air. And then the Eva Raiders coming through. Cleve's trying to do what he can. Major pushes now, trying to stay alive here as they are all without any armor whatsoever. They're going to have to focus on these kills and go for a fast armor swap. Have to kill some of these down plays if they're able to survive. He's got red armor now as he goes for, I think, what could be the last player here. Down to the taps of the scout. He just can't connect with any of the shots. Having to hide behind the opponent's shields as well. It gets very awkward, but he gets there eventually.
It's Zippeth or Shiv or Div. I can't remember which one it was. I don't know which one it was. I think it was Shiv on Bangalore, who almost just did the unthinkable, almost did him dirty, but the third party comes through. Meanwhile, Mady is just, I think, down and out of this one. Going to probably give up in that fight, it looks like. Sanya connecting for a kill at the top right of your screen with the charge rifle. So Major Pusher survives that scrum over towards boxes. They're able to survive for now, but they did take a casualty. Fido out of this one. 13 squads remain, and this next rotation is going to be killer, right? We have so many teams that are going to be coming from the fragment side that have to rotate, and only a few are going to survive.
More problems for Kungana as their Jibby gets downed. Got to heal up for the time being, and then they'll see if they can get a res. Not sure how close the other threats are, if they've got the space to do this. Obviously, we can see that 69 IQ used to be in this position, but they have since moved on. One way or another, that is. Can they get the revive in? Just checking if there's anybody close, and they'll go for it in the corner. See if they survive. The door of opportunity has been opened. Now that ring is starting to close very quickly. Well, it will be in 10 seconds. So they've got time to heal just before they got to get a move on, but I think they're going to get a very brief break from this action.
Yeah, just a visual bug there when reviving. It seems like the ring is closing. Let's go ahead and jump into a listen to know our second of the game with Kangarna. Another Valkyrie rotation inbound.
What about top of the roof?
Yeah, maybe top roof. Are we dead?
No.
No. They're going top roof. What about behind this?
Sure.
Oh, fuck.
No.
No.
What about behind there?
Yeah, here.
Yeah, behind there.
Yeah, sure.
On the ping.
There's a team here. No, it's not free.
Oh, fuck, it's not. There's a guy there.
Yeah, it's a full team.
Oh, they were hiding in the other corner.
That's the risk and reward, just the risk in this scenario for Kangarna. People think that Valkyrie ult is an easy or free rotation. Far from it, especially if you're rotating late. That's what's going to happen.
The banners, although I don't see a res coming in a ring as small as this. Deleted by the shotguns, had absolutely nowhere to go, doing circles. But what direction can you really take there? There's no safe haven. There's no cover, no shelter for him whatsoever. And we're down to 9.
Yeah, take a look at our teams remaining here. We have Scars and Guild, both showing some life. Maestro, who's in the top. Rotate and look at this ring where it's pulling. It is complete no man's land, not any cover.
Them outside. They found a corner where maybe they can survive. Perhaps they're healing up in the ult, I'm not sure. But 2 people sharing this structure, I don't think this is going to last for long.
They wish they had frag grenades right now to just bank off that wall. It looks like they don't, but they did so much damage. I'm curious as to why they didn't push that fight. Maybe a little indecisive for 69 IQ. We had to listen to them last week where we saw some indecision, but they decided not to push it. We'll see if it ends up costing them, as this team is certainly healed up at this point right above them.
Yeah, and they're so exposed to the windows downstairs, and Redragon are also exposed.
Yep.
First place and third, looking for another potential deep run with 9 squads remaining. But first, they've got to deal with the situation. You've got that fast drill of the R99, full gold R99, rather you than me, buddy. Somehow they're all still in, and maybe there'll be an informal acceptance to just chill. You guys stay down there, we're going to stay up there, but it's time to get moving as that ring starts to close. 7 squads somehow remaining as Rubrik does what he can. The dome is up now. We'll see how long he can survive, because that ring's going to make it smaller and smaller. He's got the tiniest gap with which to heal. The defensive bombardment coming through, and this is getting very busy indeed.
Wow. Crazy turn of events here. So final ring, we have a Oreo stacked cookie between Redragon and 69 IQ right below them. We have Maestro alive. We have a few teams in the vicinity and in the distance. And as I say, Maestro, they find themselves under duress. They're going to be tagged up. Caustic, of course, going to certainly help them with Kron in this scenario. 2 teams right to their right need to be very, very cautious, because if Redragon realizes they're there, they can third party and end their parade real quick.
Rats are hiding behind the smallest car, just watching all of this happening, if I'm not mistaken. We've got all kinds of grenade damage coming through as Maestro are going for a home invasion. Redragon still in here. The Mastiff is going absolutely nuclear, and there are boxes everywhere. We've got people getting boxed up like chicken wings, 69 IQ included. Quick revivers. There are more issues coming through now. I think we might have another team going for a push, and now comes the defensive bombardment. I'll give them some breathing room as they can potentially heal, but let's not forget they are next to a window. The Mastiff doing yet more now. The crab watches on as more boxes are made outside.
And that was a game of pop the weasel right there for Kerry Rubik. Just pop, pop, pop with that Mastiff. He's going to continue through, finding an opportunity. Guild nearby. Guild with a huge game potential has the chance to just third party this entire fight. So 2 teams fighting, 4 squads remaining. I believe one of them is a rat, and they're going to spot him. It's going to be that final Gibraltar, I believe, of Maestro. No, it's going to be Rat's Tolkien. He gets taken out. 3 squads remain.
Rats is still in there the entire time. Maybe they've done enough for this game. We need some heals. We need some shields for Redragon, and there isn't really the space to do it. There are opponents coming through from everywhere, trying to hide in plain sight behind the thermite, get that battery up, and in the meantime, we've got people trying to almost leave the server in a different way. I'm not sure where they're going, but there's all kinds of bleed outs. We've got colossal problems here as we go down to the last 2 squads. 4gang, where have they been?
Yeah, in the distance is where they've been. Now they have a 3v2, a perfect opportunity to win this game for them. The Caustic Ultimate's going to come through. The damage is in. It's Roby up to do great damage with that Caustic and with that Ava 8. Horizon trying to do everything possible to stay alive, gets the shield swap, but it's too much from 4gang. They will shut it down, and they are your champions of game number 5.
4gang from out of nowhere, taking that last game. Beautiful stuff. I love these rings. They're open and they're brutal and they're giving very few places to hide. We had Rats ratting true to their name towards the end there, but 4gang doing a great job surviving towards the very end. Very strong game from 4gang to take the W there.
Yeah, strong game, strong first place finish, and the way they did it didn't really have to be too strong. They were just sitting in a distance, watching every other fight in a good position, just maybe poking and peppering. As a result, an 8-kill first place finish, that's going to do it for them and putting them in the top 10 in standings. Nice job from 4gang. Guild Esports, but they must perform game 5 to put themselves in the running. Well, they do it as well.
Another 3rd place for Redragon as well. Guild were, I would say Guild were most consistent in EMEA last week, but Redragon are up there now. They've got 1 victory and they've come 3rd twice since then. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it was 3rd, not 2nd in the prior game. So they're doing great. And then Rats, when we saw that one of those last rings, they were just hiding behind a car, just in, but had the ring immediately behind them, and they were just chilling for a while as well. That house was the massive shots. But here we are.
Brought up a great point in our chat here. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place, respectively, for Redragon in the last 3 games. Talk about turning up in the middle of this EMEA Pro League match here. This is a great performance from them.
Yeah, and there's still 1 more game to go, so who knows? I think they've secured themselves a lot of points so far, but again, it's not over just yet here for EMEA today. There's 1 more game with which to accrue some points, but that's going to be a huge pickup for 4gang. All kinds of points coming their way.
Yeah, that's right. And to continue to talk about that action and set us up for game number 6, let's welcome back Kate to the desk.
Well, thanks, gents. Excited to see exactly where this is headed into game number 6, but I wanted to go back to something for a second, and that is the team comp, because obviously we saw some cookies crumble differently this go around. Some team comp changes. Primarily, we saw some Lobos, we saw some Bloodhounds with an S, Bloodhounds. What did that teach us really about feeling those legends in this lobby specifically? James, do you want to start with you?
Sure. The Lobos can be very, very useful indeed to drain resources from other teams, but also get yourself cheap upgrades. It allows you to hold a building and take less risk. As we've seen, some different teams have had a Wraith go to take things from different floors or different areas because she has more tools with which to escape if required. But if you don't have that, or you don't want to use that, then something like a Loba can give you more area to play with without that risk where you have to leave your building.
Absolutely. And Fallout, we've been talking about, the Wraith being sort of the spice of life here in terms of consistency. Talk to me a little bit about Bloodhounds going through this meta, this lobby right now.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of seeing Bloodhound in action because that means teams are desperate for kills. Why? Well, Bloodhound obviously is going to get you the intel you need, ability to scan through walls and know which fights to take, how to take your advantages. So that's why you saw 2 teams in particular play Bloodhound. It was Nemesis switching from Seer to Bloodhound, and it was Guild switching to Bloodhound as well. Those are teams that are lower in the standings, and they need to perform. They need some high kill games, and they say, you know what, time to put our foot on the gas pedal. Let's go, and that's the form of Bloodhound.
And the gas pedal was certainly on display here in game number 5. I want you to real quick talk to me about some of those teams that you saw playing that aggression. As you mentioned, Bloodhound's pretty easy to spot here in terms of aggressive play. James, anybody else that just really took the cake that you want to highlight in terms of aggression?
I think 69 IQ got a lot of cheeky downs and kills from the building they were in where they put their first black market up that we saw. Because, of course, that building has some gaps on either side where you can get some cheeky frags from. So we didn't get to see all of them on camera, but they were lighting up the scoreboard to some degree during that. But Redragon were putting in work as well. I think both those teams like occupying that building for a while was pretty crazy. The fact that no team died there for ages. It's such a small building as well, so I expected to see more kills in a position like that. But I think it was too risky for one team to push up or one team to push down. Really, where if you get one team down, one player down, it's probably GG. But outside of that, before that final ring, I think both those teams we saw some nice frags from them as well.
100%. And Fallout, as we take a look at the standings here, our overall leaderboards, we always see this happen, right? We see the changes that come. The teams decide to change up their strategy. They decide to go and be that team we like to see. And this is where the points are. Is there a surprise to you? I mean, Top Dogs, Redragon, these are teams 7, 8, 9 that have shown up consistently over and over in today's lobby.
Yeah, they've been consistent every single game, and that is the surprise. I mean, none of us as casters, I think, would have talked about Top Dogs, Redragon, or 789 because they just hadn't been performing in weeks 1 and 2, never necessarily, but they show up big time here, and that's what you love about this Pro League format, right? Every single week is a fresh slate, but you are going to see the same consistent teams, your same teams in and out. So if you perform well 1 week and can continue that, can maybe turn that snowball into an avalanche, you could work your way up the overall standings, and that's exactly what 789 Top Dogs needed to do.
Well, and I'll say this, again, consistency is the spice of life here for the ALGS. You gotta love it. Absolutely. Well, you know what? One of the things you also have to love, well, you can enter our Lenovo Legion ALGS Pro League giveaway. Oh yeah, for a chance to win a free Lenovo Legion gaming PC, visit twitter.com/Lenovo Legion. That's kind of a fun idea. Go ahead and visit that. Get yourself a Lenovo Legion. That's awesome. I'd like to thank them very much for being on this journey with us for sure. And you know what? Speaking of journeys, if you're a Prime Gaming member, and who wouldn't be? I am. We all are. We can do it. And you're also a fan of Watson, which I know we've all been getting some love here soon. Go ahead, Prime Gaming, getting even bigger with the Apex Legends scene right now. Prime members can grab the exclusive Electric Royalty bundle with an epic Watson skin and a shockingly look for that Bolt. This offer expires the 5th of November. Oh man, so hurry up before this offer. Go to gaming.amazon.com/Apex Legends for more detail and make sure to check back each month to claim the latest for your Legends. Well, that is the latest from us, and of course, the latest game is just around the corner, so stick with us. This is the ALGS Pro League.
Contact with hostile.
Well, 5 games are done and dusted, and it's time for our final game of the day now in the Apex Legends Global Series Pro League for EMEA. And Tom, it has been a very, very interesting day. And if you take a look at the leaderboards overall, you can see that even though some of these teams are still outside of that top 10, with one good game here, it really can change. The points have just been shared among a lot of different teams in different places. You can see how tight it is here.
You know, as the most selfish person on this team, I tried to copy James, and he was just undefeated when it came to EMEA. So I went with Guild Esports. So I'm really only looking at the 12th place right now because James had let me down, man. We got to come back. We got to bring Guild back onto that left-hand side, and we have to beat Maestro Gaming. No, I'm just kidding. Top Dogs and Redragon, you have to give credit to these teams who were flying under the radar today. Flying under the radar no more, because these are the 2 teams that are looking like they are prime, fighting for those 12 points. 59 and 58, only 1 point separating them. First, second, third over the last 3 games from Redragon. They are a team that does so well predicting these zones.
Yeah, they really have been good at getting that center zone position, as you say. But for one team like Solo Q Goats, for example, one big game here, a win with a decent amount of KP to go alongside it, and you really can throw yourselves up the leaderboards. And with the way that the point system works, of course, one place can be such a huge influence as the weeks do go on in how you actually end up in the final standing. So we use the term all to play for, Tom, but I really do think that's the case in this final game here, because it is just so tight between these teams.
And it comes down to one fight sometimes. Last week, I believe it was G Dolphins team that they had a team fight that didn't go their way. And if they would have finished that team fight off with maybe 10 HP on the final player, they go from 6th to 2nd place. And that is a lot of points to miss out on overall. So I'm really excited to see what happens in this final game, where the zone's going to pull. And if Redragons can continue to be so smart, one of our smartest teams in EMEA, for predicting where that zone is going to move. If you saw that zone when it scanned on in game number 5, you know it was going over towards the no-name area. The best spot to be would be sit in the very back of overlooking that no-name area, so you could push slowly down over towards the hill and keep all that action in front of you. But you saw how difficult it was for these Valkyrie rotations to come through. All these teams are set up. They're ready to go, especially when you have a zone like Fragment East and No Name, because they're all buildings. So Caustics are going to thrive. Teams that are sitting there and setting up are going to thrive. Teams that keep all the action in front of them are going to do extremely well. And now we go down to a 1-point differential between our number 1 and 2 teams in our final game.
Well, we're talking about teams that are doing well, and quite rightly so, but one team that really hasn't performed today is Scars. You mentioned your prediction. They're my prediction. They moved up 3 places in the last game. Not a huge amount from where they were to where they ended up, but they need a pop-off game here, Tom, because they have been a little bit disappointing. And the zone we just saw, usually that's a Scars zone. As you say, playing from that overlook side where they land, they're so good at navigating that area, but something just isn't clicking for them today.
Something's not clicking, and sometimes it's just not your day. The thing is you cannot let that frustration build up. You have to let that go and come in and try to have your best game and your best performance here. Sometimes, again, you just get unlucky in certain areas, or maybe there's a miscommunication. One thing's for sure, our teams that are playing at a really high level are being extremely consistent today. Top Dogs is right there, Redragon's there, 789's been doing phenomenal, DM's there, Maestro's there as well. Now we take a look at Reply Totem and what they're going to do off the rip.
They're off to a launch site. As their feet touch the ground, they'll be picking up that loot as quickly as possible. Redragon, though, what a performance has been from them today. We've it's been a day of CIS teams as well, but I want to give some love to Top Dogs, because Top Dogs have been one of those teams who they're always there or thereabout. They always make these final lobbies in previous tournaments that we've seen, but they haven't had that big day, in my opinion. Today might be their big day. It might be the day of Top Dogs.
It really could. And when I'm looking at the overall leaderboards and the kills that have been put up, we haven't had any crazy pop-off games in terms of kills. And overall, the most kills is 0-0 with 15, thanks to the production team. Kill performance they had in round number 4 just goes to show what they're capable of doing. I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to actually try to beat that here in our final game. Is it going to be 4Gang? First place with 8 kills in the previous game? Could be.
Well, we did get to see our beacon being hit by one of the teams and momentarily got to see the map pop off. We could bring that up again. That would be great to just show the viewers at home where we are heading. It is to the west side, about halfway down, right in the middle of World's Edge for our next zone. We're going to have a little bit of landslide rotation. We're going to have some lava fissure countdown maybe, or just a little bit south of that, where we might be ending up. That compound down on the low ground, we've seen some finishes, Tom. We might be heading towards that direction once more.
I haven't seen this zone that much. It's probably the hardest zone to predict out of all of them for me out of these 6 games. But one thing's for sure, Kungarna, our game number 1 winners, are going to love that because they have to rotate down from Lava Fissure. They are going to most likely gonna get a priority spot in the zone. 7, 8, 9, within striking distance, they are in 3rd place with 40 points on the rotation.
Immediately leaving as well, as quickly as possible. Just once again, trying to find a spot as quickly as possible, essentially. And what's the quickest way to do that? Is to take it to the skies, and Sky would die with Valkyrie to overtake all these other teams that might be making that rotation. You can see maybe just going to ping that truck and try and hit that truck, maybe read.
And one of the spots is a hot spring zone. It was kind of across from where Mirage Voyage used to be, down in that little geyser area. It's not the geyser, but it's that hot spring geyser over towards this west-hand side, which means there's a handful of different areas to play. For 7, 8, 9 right now, they're trying to figure out where the best spot's going to be. That blue trailer across from Landside seems to be a spot. And Top Dogs, they're going to go and take this giant area where the 3 pills are. This is another popular spot where we see a lot of zones pull. So I'm excited to see what happens as all the teams now starting to filter in.
Yeah, this is getting spicy at the start here of our final game of the day. And with teams prioritizing points, it's the last opportunity to do so and get up those leaderboards. It's not too surprising to see a couple of teams trying to take a little isolated fight, but we're going to see some EMPs. That's a big damage going down as well. Question is, will it be capitalized on? It looks like Top Dogs are just trying to kind of grief those fights a little bit, see those 2 teams eliminate each other, and then just sit down and go, hey, cool, 18 spots remaining, 2 teams gone.
And you know me, Musal, he's going for the assists only, right? So whether it's assists for your own team or assists for the enemy team.
I just want to put this out there. I didn't bring that up, by the way. Okay, that was Tom.
It doesn't matter. He still is having a phenomenal day overall as 7, 8, 9. Locking down a very popular building here over towards Lava Fissure. The zone most likely won't pull over towards that building. I'm thinking where Kungarna is a great spot to be, but you have to give credit to where Top Dogs are too. It could continue to pull over there. It's going to be fun to see what happens as we get these scans going forward. But one thing's for sure, nobody's messing around in terms of getting position. There's so many different spots where this zone can pull. It's all about getting to that spot and keeping other teams out. And right now you see Kungarna owning 2 buildings over towards the Hot Springs area, which you wouldn't expect. You'd expect 2 different teams to be in here, which means that you have more kill opportunities for Kungarna.
One thing I love about when Kungarna get early position as well is how Graceful plays on Wraith. He's never afraid to try and throw a little bit of aggression into other teams with some portals out to try and finish off some knocks, get a few KP secured. He's not one of these players that's just going to sit in a building with his teammates. He's going to try and do some damage while he's there. As we hop back over to this fight, we kind of popped into a little bit earlier on. Major Pushers, one of the teams involved, and some damage being done with the L-Star, but also in the kill feed, notice that Guild already picking up some KP. Major Pushers still trying to push this advantage, but nothing really happening. It's just a little bit of a standoff between the 2.
What's awesome from Guild's point of view, and what's awesome from watching Major Pushers go, is the fact that Major Pushers is fighting this early, but fighting multiple teams. You can see that he's fighting one player over towards the side on an enemy team. They're fighting another team that they're coexisting with inside the building. So while we haven't seen a lot of teams eliminated, only 1 overall, we're still seeing a lot of fighting. And you have to fight at this point of the stage, because when you're looking at the points, 59 points for TD, for Top Dogs. Redragon at 58. There's a huge fallout after that. 7, 8, 9 is sitting at 40, but then all the way down to 8th, there's only a 5-point differential. So the leaderboard is very top heavy, but once you get right below that, it's anybody's game.
And we've talked about the teams who have made their way to an early spot for where that zone is going to be pulling. One team is taking their time and taking a little bit of a different route is going to be 4Gang. Let's see what their plan is.
would they like penalize you for that? There's no way. Like,
no, of course not.
I mean, it might no, and then you get permaban.
You type /pause and the game actually pauses. You're like, huh?
We win the game, and then they remove the points, and we get 0 points for the day on the day we win.
Nice. Okay, that's okay. They're fighting here. Let's not go because they are not gonna hard fight. Let's just zip across, okay?
Okay.
Shall we try and do
shut up, there is no one, guys.
Fragment east. Oh.
Yeah, but they're playing here in the room.
Wait, they're ulting into them.
What's going on? Hold up.
Hold on.
Right. What's going on?
They wanna kill them.
Okay, careful guys. You have to secure this before doing things.
We're not in, by the way.
Let's just move. I don't really want to look at this anyway.
Do you want to just try and get into Skyhook and get beaten? How do you want to do?
I mean, do you want beacon?
I don't know. Like, do you know?
We're late anyway.
I really don't like this. Like,
can we peek the choke and just look? Like, I understand this is like weird, but
no, that's fine. That's fine.
Like, I'd rather not go into Skyhook. Like, I'm telling you.
I'm fine.
Okay, no. If that's not cool, that's your cool. I don't mind.
I feel like there's some guys sitting in the corner.
Okay. 69 IQ is just really team playing in Skyhook at this point.
69 IQ is dying. They're landing Big Mouth this zone.
Yeah, they're landing Big Mouth today.
Okay, we still have.
They're still fighting a fragment.
There's no team on top of landslide.
No team here either.
It's rats fighting, guys, with cars.
They're hard trading. We could Valkyrie in if you want.
I'm kind of down. It's your cool.
No, I don't know if they thirsted one. I don't think they thirsted one.
No, they
didn't. No, they did not. Let's just, guys. What do you think of?
No. There's a team holding the bridge here.
Okay, we can land on the compound if it's free. Otherwise, we can go for the building.
Okay. I
mean, say what you want to do. You want to land?
I want to go look for this compound, like graveyard or whatever. If it's taken, we can fly over to these buildings here.
Okay.
And if
remember, Gavi is stable.
Oh, we're spotted. We're kind of standing here for long. We can also land on the RV.
Watch
yeah, but I don't know how I feel about.
They did this one. They did. We can move. Wait, are we not going? Like, what's the play?
Yeah, I want to move, but like they were shooting. They're still watching us. Let's just. Can we walk into landslide? Fuck it. There's no one in landslide, right? You said?
There's no one in landslide.
Let's walk landslide.
I mean, there's no one on top of landslide.
Okay, I'm going tower just to check, guys.
They're all hard shooting us, so.
Well, the vibes are good for 4 gang here, Tom, but it does seem to be a little bit of not quite sure what the next move is here.
I love the vibes. We go into there and they're joking immediately. Then video game, especially if you're this darn good at it. You had so much time to talk strategy, and they thinking, and they still don't know what they have to do. As we see where that zone is going to pull, it's away from Hot Springs. It's going over more towards on that west hand side. So the teams that are on top of that bridge, they're going to be loving that. It's going to be interesting to see again with these open zones who is going to win the battle of the Gibbies, because we know how important that Gibby bubble and defensive bombardment is. But 4gang is the team in that landslide area that is just being a nuisance.
Well, we've talked about the unpredictability of some of these zone pulls today, and well, we've got another one here. Like you pointed out, we're pulling away from where maybe we thought it was going to go and back towards those tracks. And for the teams like Kangana, who made that move early on down towards Hot Springs, and for teams like Top Dog, who are going to be involved in that next zone, don't get me wrong, but it's going to certainly adjust the plan, so to speak, as we see Guild in the feed once more, picking up some kills, this time on 69 IQ. And looks like Guild are building a little bit of momentum here, as you can see 4gang are just
only possible for them to walk out, not just sitting in 4th or 5th, but maybe in 1st overall. They're going to have to take out 789, though.
who's in third with 40 points. On top of this train track area, not inside the next zone. As we know, they set up in the building over towards Lava Fisher. They're going to have to make a play.
Well, like you mentioned earlier, Sanya and Estesu, second and third respectively in kills today. And both of them looking aggressive once more, trying to drop down and get damage and get those finishes on the team that was below them. Didn't manage to quite convert those into kills, unfortunately. 4Gang now going to make a little bit of a move up. And this zone pool has been really good for them. Solo Q Goats, we mentioned they were one of those teams on the cusp of maybe throwing themselves up into that top 4, top 5 if they have a big pop-off game. We'll have to see how they play this one out.
Inside the top 10 right now at 10th place, DM sitting in 4th. And I believe in terms of the overall standings, they are 3rd with 14. So pretty solid, pretty consistent performances overall. Again, Xens can't talk about it enough. Game number 2, if you haven't seen that one, wait until this is over and go watch that rebroadcast. I don't want to spoil it, but it was probably the play of all of the ALGS Pro League. But Solo Q Goats, they're on the outside looking in. You can see what the plan is. They're trying to push on over towards Landslide, but I believe that is still 4Gang sitting up there.
I'm sure that Diff Q right now is thinking, I can't wait for the next season. I can't wait for that L-Star to get a little bit of enough because he got absolutely demolished by it for a few seconds there by the player just peeking over the top. But you can see Scars, they're in a good position here, holding the high ground inside of Landslide. And this is the power position. There's so little height. There's so little difference in elevation for teams to try and negotiate around. If you control this height, you kind of control Landslide.
I like the change that happened from Train Yard over to Landslide because you had just so many different places to coexist here. It's a little bit more interesting when you don't have the 4 train carts in the giant warehouse over towards the side and you get that one player up top who's just the dominant player on the map. As we take a look at Kungarna in the kill feed, actually going to get some kills over towards the side. Multiple knocks coming through. Impressive for Kungarna, who's sitting, I believe, in that top 5 area. No, actually, they're in 8th somehow. That's how close it is on set.
Yeah.
4th is tight. 3rd place is 40, and then Kungarna's all the way in 8th with just 5-point differential, which they just made up with those kills.
Yeah, really good play there from Kungarna. It was clean. I'm pretty sure there was a stick coming in from Graceful as well. I saw that Arc Star in the feed. Now I saw 2 bodies drop almost immediately. JMW poking out as well. There's a longbow. There's a couple of bullets that are going to hit as well and force that team, who might have had a clever idea of being the third party, to back off and think about their next play a little bit longer. But for Kungarna, this has been a good start to this game. We have 16 squads alive. They have a pretty good spot in zone at the moment. They'll be working their way up north a little bit. But, as I say, and like you mentioned, Tom, kill points so vital with how tight those leaderboards are.
I'm sure everyone's got their sound on right there, but it sounded like 10 barrels just got tossed out of the bottom floor right there. We only know 3 can come out at any given point in time, but 7, 8, 9, now with the rotation, they're in the next zone, have a team over towards this choke area with some decent armor too. With, you can see the player outlines. One player is kind of stuck out, so if they could get the knock, that's going to be huge. That's going to be Xens going down.
That's him taken out, and now it's a 2v3, and 789 trying to be aggressive and forcing their opponents to back off here, and they will control the area. Not only that, they've got the black market down. They'll be stealing away all the meds, and it's a small thing, Tom, but not exposing yourself to potentially get knocked, having to go for that loot by using the black market could be all the differences. Now they move in as well. 789, they smell blood here, and they move forward and look to secure even more KP.
789 has the back cleared. The zone is perfectly behind them, and all the action again is directly in front of them. So this is an opportunity to continue to pick up more kill points. They popped off over, I believe, towards the big mod game in game number 4. And now they're looking good here in the final game. Again, still sitting in 3rd place, decent amount of kills, decent position over here. Black market over towards the backhand side too. And I can definitely tell you, as a controller player, as the slowest looter in the world, I always like that black market when it's in a safe place.
Well, it was going to be Solo Q Goats who fell to 789, who have been, to be honest with you, superb so far today. And it's great to see them return to the form that we kind of expect from them. But I say that about every single team, I feel, on every single week that we play in the Apex Legends Global Series. But Scars Europe, they need this game, Tom. They're inside of the top 11. They have this height, but look at the zone. It's going to be pulling away from them as Mande is going to introduce the R301 to a player down on the low ground. But they have to move in around 10 seconds or so. That zone is going to creep in, and you can see the portal out from RPR. He's going to find himself an alternator as well.
Scars having one of their stronger games so far, but they're going to have to continue
coming in from the skies from the redeploy. So he's going to jump into the void here, back up to his teammates, and it's Kungana who are introducing themselves to the party, but they might be somewhat of an uninvited guest here.
Double bubble, double trouble over here. You do have the EVA 8 with the blue bolt. The L-Star really doesn't get any better in terms of close range. So I'd love to see Kungana continue to play this one safe until they actually have to take the fight, because it's going to be third party on top of third party. Meanwhile, the kill feed just blowing up. Maestro picking up a handful of kills.
Oh my.
See Savage, Amaz is down. Guild is falling left and right.
To get away from all this carnage that's going down. You can see your teams remaining on the right hand side, but for Kungana, they've done a pretty good job here of just holding this position and holding off the team surrounding them.
The big thing is you can see the X right there next to Redrag. His name, Top Dog, still in this one. So it's really coming down to 7, 8, 9 in Top Dogs. Possibly someone else could pop in there with a big game. The Scars, they're going to need a magnificent performance, but it's only up to RPR.
RPR in his zone now as his two teammates will fall. He's sat on that respawn beacon, does have the alternator, and does have the ability to shred like a cheese grater. But for now, all these teams still fighting. I think it's like a 1v1v2 or something crazy going on at the moment inside of this building. RPR still alive and still looking to save the game here for Scars. He'll pick up the KP, but can he finish off these final players?
You won't. You won't, RPR. Finish them all off and go get the rest for your team. You won't.
I tell you what, if there's anyone who'll take on that challenge, it's this man on your screen right now. Stays alive, secures KP for his team, but the problem is here that you can see Kungana still alive, and still all three of them alive as well. So it looks like RPR and Scars might have to play this one out solo.
The lobby's lucky that the zone is closing, because RPR was going to go for that res. There was plenty of death boxes there, but that's all she wrote. Unfortunate, but what a great performance there from RPR towards the tail end. Now it's all on 7, 8, 9 shoulders again, keeping the zone towards their back. All the action directly in front of him. Kungana still has a chance, but now JMW is down. No bubble in 7, 8, 9, and Maestro are going to combine to finish off one of those players, and Maestro's not done yet.
Graceful last alive now, and he's going to have to summon his inner RPR here, but it looks like he might fall to the same fate as he will go down. That bubble not coming out is the difference maker there for Kungana, who are now eliminated. Maestro once again here, Tom. Inside of our top 5, 7, 8, 9, again, inside of the top 5, and here goes Sanya sliding through the grass here with a 301 in hand and backed up ably by his teammates.
Maestro's best performance today has been third place. They're trying to better that right now. As you can see, more kills coming in. One on to Molly1. Let's see if they can get the flush over here, and there it is. All three players down. Meanwhile, Zanya is going to get dropped. We'll see if the res comes out, but that's Top Dog showing up at the kill feed for the first time in a while.
And that fight taking little to no time from Maestro means that they're able to turn their attentions now and be the third party here, as Estesu will fall. Sanya with the flatline doing God's work at the moment. Mimu also involved in this battle, and Top Dogs involved in this battle. Three of our teams have been at the top of the leaderboards all day. No surprise to see them involved here, Tom.
Top Dogs is just so special the way that they approach this game. I mean, just perfect execution. Staying off of the kill feed until the very last moment, and then dropping the biggest threat in the lobby next to you that could take first place away from you. It doesn't really get more strategic than that.
Oh my word!
Top Dogs are just putting in work right now, Mark.
Yeah, that L-Star just deleted someone. That is a backspace if ever I've seen one. Mimu now looking over. However, he's lost a teammate here in Ruabe. He's fallen, so it's now 0-0, and Mimu, who have to work as a duo towards this end game. I think there's one more player alive who's actually been res, so the full team back up here. Only momentarily for Rebel, as Pierre now falls on his back once more.
We may see a portal ring around the Rosie for the Rock right here, just to stay alive as long as possible for 0-0, because the zone is directly there and the heat is on. Getting over towards the top two. Still have to worrying about Maestro though. Maestro sitting in 6th place with 37 points. Multiple picks on our analyst desk, and you can see why Maestro has been playing really well today.
Oh my word.
But it looks like they are going to be able to take this final game away from the Top Dogs. Is it enough to get first place though? We'll find out soon.
Such a strong performance from Maestro once again. The fights that they had to win quickly, they disposed of their opponents in next to no time, and then just controlling that zone towards the end. For me, Tom, I think between them and Top Dogs, they have been the standout performers today from the Pro League. And to be honest with you, the way they controlled that last game is just synonymous with everything they've done in the previous 5.
Definitely, and I would throw Redragon in that conversation as well, just based on the consistency they had towards the tail end. But what a performance by a handful of these teams. I mean, 789 really showing up and popping off. We saw a big kill performance from Solo Q Goats, even though they weren't able to push into that top area. But overall, just a great day of Apex so far to start things off.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how the leaderboards are going to be looking. Hey, Production's got my back. They know exactly where we need to be going. Game 6 results. Maestro on top. 14 kills for them as well. They decimated that lobby in game number 6. 26 points total for them. Top Dogs in second with 12 points on the board. A much, much better performance from Rebel. But in game 6, left it too late, to be honest with you. 789 up there as well. Kangana and Scars inside of that top 10 as well, Tom.
That is the most kills that we've seen today and the most points that we've seen. And why would you wait? You want to wait until the fire-up game to go and do it and explode. That's how you do it if you're Maestro Gaming. What an exciting finish there. And the zones kind of started off south. They went more over towards the middle area. We got a nice little difference in terms of how these teams are going to go and play things. But one thing's for sure, consistency was the key today.
Oh my, Sanya. Look at that damage. That's what you want to see from your Gibby. Huge, huge stuff from him. 2,584, 5 kills and 6 assists. And teammates backing him up extremely well. That's what you want to see from a composition, right, Tom? Everyone sharing out those kills, the assists being picked up by your Gibby, and then being converted by your more aggressive players.
I love that, and I just love the way that they were able to just bully over towards the very end. That zone is not easy to go and do, and then also just making sure that they're not giving up because of the fact that they understand if they can get a big game here, they can potentially win this thing. Not only that, at least just moving up that leaderboard a little bit because we know how important that accumulative leaderboard is going to be.
Well, let's bring Kate back into the conversation because it's been an amazing day of action as it always is, Kate. But these leaderboards, I mean, they're anyone's guess at this point.
They are, and I do love that you started that off with the cumulative leaderboard because I've been doing a little bit of not so much the math because we all know math is not my strong suit, but I will say this. We are talking about 789 Top Dogs Redragon. They needed to start their comeback from the bottom of our overalls, and they did that today. Scars, Maestro needed to keep their numbers to stay in the pursuit of the invite to playoffs. And of course, Kangarna, 69 IQ on the bubble. Let's start with you, Onset. Who just blew your mind today? Who were the standouts? We've been talking about them this entire 6 matches, but I want to give us a comprehensive look at these teams right now as we look at game number 6.
I think for me, the one team I want to highlight that haven't hit the highs of some of the other teams that you mentioned is Top Dogs. We've seen 789 in these winning positions before. We've seen Maestro put in huge performances, but for me, Top Dogs have been one of those teams who we always say, hey, they're really good in those 3v3 scuffles, but they haven't been able to put the placements on alongside it to put up the big point totals. Today, their consistency was extremely impressive for me, and I think it bodes really well when you have one day that all of a sudden things start to click for you. That could bode so well moving forward into the most important weeks.
I agree, Mark. It's absolutely amazing when you look at these placements here. Back-to-back top 2s. Game number 4, they take first, and then another second place. So we're looking at 3 second places and then a first. 4 games placing inside the top 2 out of 6.
Nuts.
That's kind of unheard of.
Yeah, that's absolutely nuts.
Absolutely nuts. That's a good way to put the last game, to be sure. Let's take a look at what the numbers tell us, because it all comes down to the leaderboards, as we all know. Kills, placement points, it just comes into these maths, as Onset would say, and here we have them right there. Top Dogs, but guess what, gang? Maestro Gaming up 4 spaces. 4 spaces. Fallout's not here to have this conversation, but boy, am I excited. We'll talk about that a little bit later there, Tom.
There go my predictions right out the window. We had Guild Esports, James. It's okay. At least we didn't pick Scars because, oh, well, you know what happened with them and what happened with Onset. But either way, what a job from Top Dogs. Again, 4 games inside of top 2 with a dub. That is just ridiculous consistency. And that's crazy to even think that Maestro Gaming is kind of on their heels. Redragon is right on their heels. That's how well these other teams played as well.
It's been really impressive, Kate, but the concerning thing for me is the other end of the leaderboard. And I say concerning for those teams because of the fact that at the other end of the leaderboard, at the top of the teams who were on the bubble, like you mentioned, right, Top Dogs, Maestro, 789, Kangana, all needed to have a big week. They've done exactly that, and by the likes of Scars and Rebel, who haven't had a great week so far, but those teams who might be doing a little bit better than we had expected previously, that gap's going to close, and that makes the following weeks of action even more intense.
That's a great point. As we take a look at those EMEA regular season standings, our overall here, remember we've got 40 teams fielding throughout. And of course, just as a reminder, the breakdown really is the first teams in that bracket, well, they're going to be able to get themselves immediately, or I should say, like directly to the playoffs for split number 1. Those bubble teams, well, they're going to have to fight their way through some qualifiers. Those last teams, oh boy. Those last teams in the leaderboards, Tom, they've got their work cut out for them here with lobbies that, in your words, are pretty scary.
And one of the teams that is on the right-hand side that I would not expect to be there is definitely Rebel. I think that they have exactly what it takes to push forward. So hopefully next week they can get things going. But you're seeing consistency being key, but you're also seeing teams that need to perform stepping up. And I think that was the big performance today, was teams like 789. You could see the fight that's in them and that big mod zone that was pushing over, how they were just working together, armor swaps on armor swaps, teamwork on top of teamwork, baiting and switching, everything that you need to survive to the very last second to pick up all those points. These teams are doing today.
Yes, they are, and doing so in masterful ways. Well, as you can hear, we're talking kills, we're talking damage, we're talking all about the standout teams. But let's talk about the standout players, which means it's time for us to talk Monster MVP. Okay, gents, it's going to be a hard one today because we saw a lot of pop-off performances. Monk, Onset, my friend, talk to me about who you got. Who would you do? What in terms of like the Monster MVP thoughts here? Who's your MVP? Who are you looking at for potentially? And it could be more than one.
It's always a scary place, Kate, to go inside my head. However, we're going to go there for just a few seconds here. There's two players that jump out to me that kind of put their names forward today. One has to be from Top Dogs, just because of their performance today. And I'm going with Ruabe. I think that on the Gibby, it's, in my opinion, one of the most difficult characters to play consistently. And if you have a Gibby who's playing consistently, I should say, it usually provides you with consistent placings. Those bubbles are so vital. The timing of them, the ability to just hold down on those moments, it's so impressive to do and do it consistently. But I mean, this play, by the way, I just want to throw it out there from XNs, that puts him in the conversation as well from Dungeon Masters, because that, like Tom said, one of the craziest plays we've seen so far in the Pro League from both regions.
And the thing is, I believe that's against 0-0, which would have meant that they would have 2 wins on the Top Dog side. But 0-0 is actually going to be my pick, because you look at the overall kills, and that's going to be the lead going on over towards the Top Dog side. You say how Gibby's difficult to play. I'm going to raise you that and say that Wraith is the hardest to play, because you know why? You have to separate from your team. You have to make sure that you're setting your portals for your team. You're being the eyes and ears of your team. Yes, every legend is hard to play at this given moment, but you have to be able to push the envelope when you play Wraith, and I thought 0-0 did a great job of that today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's take a look at the kill leaderboard and see just how far that envelope has been pushed, because we can find out what these teams and what these players, moreover, are really made of from the points perspective. Let's take a look. Take a look at the kills here. Whoo-wee!
Wow.
That is nice there, Onset. That is delicious.
Yeah, I mean, impressive from Sanya. Very impressive from him to top of the leaderboard. 0-0, like Tom said, 15 kills for him. You can't turn away from that. And 10 for Ruabe as well. I mean, you got 2 players inside the top 6 picking up kills. You're going to have a lot of success, and it transferred over for Top Dogs as well. Graceful once again for Kangana stepping up on Wraith as well. 14 kills for him. But I think you have these kills, right? You have these tallies of kills. Important kills almost add up even more. And I feel like 0-0 had some really vital impact today.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And the positioning and the consistency, you rarely see that where someone's placing that high in terms of the kills, but also playing that consistent in terms of the placements. What a job today by 0-0 in the squad.
Absolutely. And I think it was interesting. I'm just looking through my notes here. There were a number of times today when we saw some incredible kill counts that didn't make it at number 1 in the placements. So, I mean, I'm thinking like 7, 8, I'm thinking like match number 2, 7, 8, 9, Top Dogs, 11 kills each, even though Dungeon Masters did take it ultimately. So what an interesting place to be here, certainly coming in as we look at come down to our game number 6. But guess what? That has been your Monster MVP segment. Thanks for joining us there. Wow. Onset. This feels like a great EMEA 6 games that really help to pave the way for the next 6 and the 6 after that.
Yeah, it's going to be nuts. I think we always talk about the depth of talent in EMEA, right? And I feel like we're seeing it all the time. You know, if we took ourselves back 3 months and we looked at this lobby, we would be saying, oh, you know, this is Scar's lobby. You know, Scars and Kagana, they'll be at the top. It's not like that anymore. Every single team has found this level, found this ability, and I don't know whether it's an introduction of Valkyrie that's helped certain teams. I don't know whether it's teams just finding that groove that they've been looking for and putting in that time, but anyone can win these lobbies. And I think that's the craziest thing that I could say about EMEA. You pick any team that's in a lobby, 1 to 20, and they can all win games. That makes it even more intense, and that makes winning one game so impressive. So that's why I want to like harp on the back of what Tom said about Top Dogs, right? Their placings today, unreal, like unbelievable. They probably, no teams would have a week like that back to back. To do that would be ridiculous. To do it in one day is an achievement in itself.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of achievements, let's take a look at the talent predictions, shall we? I hardly ever get to have a smile on my face when we're looking at these, so I'm delighted to be here. Hey, look at that! Look at that, those people.
The Fallout's looking at you like, yeah, Kate, we're right. And Kate's like, yeah, what's up? I am right.
It's the eyebrow that really sells it. But absolutely, and this is a great, Tom, let's start with you. I mean, you and James had Guild Esports, and for good gosh darn reason.
Yeah, they were in first place overall, and I really was feeling it. I mean, there's so many different teams that you could have picked here, just like Mark was talking about. We went with the safe pick today, and also I went with just hoping that James would carry me because he's been so consistent in his EMEA predictions.
I didn't necessarily get the scars, though, did it, Kate? Let's be honest.
Onset, you've been so consistent.
Next, there's always NA. That's all I'll say. There's always NA.
There you go. Well, hey, guess what? You are not going to be done with us for today because while EMEA may be done here on this Saturday, guess what? North America is right around the corner. So make sure to join us here 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. BST. We are going to be joining it for all the NA action. And if you want to keep up with us in the meantime, go ahead and follow us on all of our socials. Roll that graphic. It'll be twitter.com/PlayApexEsports. It'll be @PlayApexEsports on the YouTubes and @PlayApex on Twitch. We are there. The journey has continued to begin. So, hey, listen, we are just getting started. Great job, GG to our EMEA teams. And now we're going to go ahead and sign on out. For the casters, for the crew, we'll see you over in NA in just a minute. Until then, have a good day.